Well, hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me. Tonight, we're talking about the Nancy Guthrie case as Sheriff Nanos rides around in his Corvette and what's going on at Nancy's house. Something is not right. A lot to talk about on the other side of this.
I've walked through storms in scars and grace, smile through pain with a painted face.
Sing it with me, y'all.
They called me too loud, too much, too strong. But honey, that's the reason I belong. Every scar's a scripture, every tear's a hymn. I found my worth where the light grew dim. They tried to break me, but here's the twist. I turned my pain into a clenched fist. I'm an unbreakable woman, born of fire and pearl. I shine like grace in a reckless world. You can test my faith, you can shake my plan, but I'll rise again. Just watch me I've been whispered about and written off, judged by the gloss, not the cost. But God don't build weak hearts from gold. He made me fierce and he made me bold. I bend, I pray, I roll, I rise with mascara, tears and battle cries. Don't need your crown, I forge my own. From ashes, honey, I build my throne. I'm an unbreakable soul, dressed in truth and pearls. The fire don't scare me, it lights my world. You can doubt my voice, but you'll hear my name. I'm holy and hood, and I'm done with shame. For everyone called too much, too loud, too real.
Welcome, Miss Robin.
You're exactly what power
Good to
looks
see you,
like.
my dear. Let's go.
I'm an unbreakable soul, through the fire and flame. My scars are stories, my strength, my faith. Faith in my heart, fire in my blood, forever divine. Clutch them pearls.
Let's go.
Coming in clutch, better tighten the pearls. Dropping cold facts, got the truth for the world. No smoke, no fluff, just the real that we trust. Hold on to your seat, cause I'm coming in clutch. Coming in clutch.
Well, hello, everyone. Good to see you all. Thank you all so much for joining me. Really do appreciate your time. You could have chosen to be anywhere on YouTube. You have a lot of options, anywhere on the internet, anywhere in the world, and you chose to be right here. I know your time is very valuable, and I do appreciate you spending some time with me. Today is March 19th, 2026. It is currently 7:21 p.m. on the east coast of the United States. Bonjour, everyone. Hello, hello, beautiful pearls. Thank you all so much for joining me. Tonight we're talking about the Nancy Guthrie case out of Tucson, Arizona. We are nearly at day 50 and still nothing. We did talk about how it does take time, many times, took, let me turn this down a little bit, some time to find sometimes what they're looking for, who they're looking for. But Mr. Nanos is out driving in a Corvette. And what's going on at the house? We're going to talk about all of that. But guys, if you would be so kind, like I and every other YouTuber ask you, if you would please hit that thumbs up button, would be so thankful. Share the live out would mean so, so much. Free way to help. Also, if you would be so kind and hype this live stream after the live is over. It would mean so much. You get, I think, 3 hypes a week. If you would consider maybe giving us one, it would mean truly, truly a lot. Good to see everyone. Hey, Anna Banana, Ginger, Miss Deb. Good to see you. Lisa, Lolo, Connie. Peace of Jesus to all. Hello. Sherry, good to see you. Donna, Ginger, and Elizabeth. Linda, good to see you. Not Lob, good to see you. Deb Long, Den, good to see you. Just Me, Tony, Joe Canada, Nancy, Jennifer, good to see you, dear. Tina, hello. Vibes, Sheila, Carol, bonjour. Miss Jennifer Cook, hello. Michelle, Honest for, good to see you, hun. Miss Roxy, Connie, Wendy, Donna, thank you so much. Welcome to the Pearl family. Really do appreciate you, my friend. Thank you for your support. Do appreciate that. Good to see you, little Poochie Poo. Good to see you. Thank you so much, honey. Who else do we got in here? Hello, Miss Sassy, Abigail, Luck. Oh, Cindy. Yes. Yeah, they do. They certainly do. Crazy. Good to see you, Miss Kelly. Hey, darling. Pam. Hello. Sorry, had to wash my support socks out. That's okay. You got to do what you got to do sometimes, girl, right? Christy, Casey. Hello, Rocco. Yeah, I was going to mention that, Rocco, in just a second. Thank you for telling me. Mama's the bomb. Linda. Who else? Pam. Hello. Good to see everyone rolling up in here. Thank you all so much for joining me. There is some really sad news coming out of Spain, like we were talking about yesterday with Jimmy. 20 years old, only on spring break with his friends who are abroad studying. Just want to go over that real briefly. They found him deceased in the water. Now, what that means, does that mean there's foul play? I don't know. He supposedly left with someone. I don't know how he would get in the water, but you got to understand as well, people do drink. So I would think, in my opinion, it's probably foul play, but I can't be 100% sure of that. However, the police said yesterday, even before he was found, that they believe this is foul play. So I am only an assumption right now that it's foul play. But here we go. I want to go to Matt. He talks about it real briefly. I did a post earlier today.
That the body of Miss-year-old Jimmy Gracie.
And you guys cannot hear that, can you? That's very weird. Let me make sure I got my audio. Let me check this. Bear with me.
He has been found in Barcelona, Spain. His body was said to have been found.
What's going on with my
Multiple sources are confirming that the body of missing 20-year-old Jimmy Gracie has been found in Barcelona, Spain. His body was said to have been found in the Mediterranean Sea about 13 feet deep. He was recovered earlier in the day on March 19th, 2026, and later formally identified. His family has been notified. At the moment, it's being reported that investigators believe he may have accidentally fallen from a rocky area near the shoreline into the Mediterranean Sea in the early morning hours of Tuesday, March 17th, 2026. This is a screenshot of where that rocky area he was last seen at is. Authorities say that a witness saw Jimmy leaving the nightclub Shoko and walking toward the rocks along the beach.
What's a little weird to me is yesterday they were saying that they believe this is foul play, number one. And number two, after they said that, they said that he was seen leaving with someone. And that has me a little concerned. Regardless, this is an absolute tragedy. An absolute tragedy. There is a picture of Jimmy in the nightclub as well. He doesn't look happy. He doesn't look happy as well. I heard he was last seen with female with brown hair. So they need to be talking to people. I am just not ready to say that this is an accident. But sometimes things can be I think particularly in other places, cops can be very lazy and just want to wrap it up real quick.
This tip came in, search teams started using boats, divers, drones, and a helicopter to comb the coastline. It was also confirmed that his wallet was found not on the sand part of the beach, but floating in the water of the...
Yes. Last night, I think it was last night, it might have been this morning, but I'm pretty sure it was last night, they were talking about how they found his wallet, and it was highly likely that he was in the water regardless. So there's that as well.
Mediterranean Sea, and nothing was missing in his wallet. Reportedly, all of his money and cards were still inside. After authorities failed to locate Jimmy's body during their search on Wednesday, March 18th, they expanded their search toward Barceloneta Beach in case the currents of the water had carried him there. It's unclear where exactly his body was found, but it is believed that he was found where investigators believe that the current would have brought his body. Authorities did end up confirming that CCTV footage reviewed by police shows Gracie leaving the nightclub with another person who has not been identified. Earlier in the evening, he had been seen.
Now, last time he was seen was around 3 a.m. And again, that makes me wonder, like, you left with the female. When in Rome, as the saying goes, it's spring break. You're going to party a little bit. At this age, they might hook up with someone. I'm not saying that's what happened or anything, but I want to know more. But regardless, it seems like this is going to be as an accident.
Speaking with a young American woman with brown hair, though it remains unclear whether she was the same individual to say that she last saw Jimmy along the rocks, or at what point the two split ways for the night. Right now, authorities say the investigation remains ongoing, and while it does appear that this was all a tragic accident, they have not completely ruled out the possibility of foul play. Remember, it was reported earlier on that Jimmy's phone was actually found amidst the commission of authorities arresting someone, so we still need to get clarity.
Bingo, which, to be honest with you, if you're drunk, you can, leave your phone or whatever. But, is that a coincidence that they found this phone with this dude that they had just randomly arrested? I don't know. But it seems like it's going to be discounted as an accident.
On that, my thoughts and prayers are with Jimmy's loved ones at this time, and of course, as more information and updates come out, you'll be able to find it all here on my page. Multiple sources are confirming that the body of missing 20-year-old Jimmy Gracie has been found in Barcelona, Spain. His body was said to have been found in the...
I just wanted to run that by you guys because I know I was getting a lot of texts and a lot of emails about that. We'll stay up to date with that for sure. But right here. We're for Nancy right now. Robin, thank you so much, my dear. So good to see you. And thank you so much for becoming a member, renewing the membership. Really do appreciate that, my dear. Good to see you. Another missing woman, 64, Sally Ann Farina. I'll have to look that up, bro. Thank you so much, honey. Donna, thank you so much, my friend. Appreciate you. Welcome to the Pearl family. Appreciate that. Miss Kelly, hello, darling. Time flies. So glad to be a part of the community. Much love to all. Thank you so much, Miss Kelly. Thank you for your love and support as well, my dear. Appreciate that very, very much. And Jennifer, both of y'all are at 7 months. Thank you, bro. Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, love from the Pearl. We love you, Miss Jennifer. Thank you so much for your support. Really, really do appreciate that. And Miss Mamas the Bomb, thank you so much for renewing your membership, my dear. Do appreciate that. Good to see you. Hello, Miss Smiley. Susie Q, hello. Lovey's house. Miss Ginger, bonjour. All right, guys, let's get to it. First, I want to show you before we get into the meat and potatoes of it. Wanted to show you what our Sheriff Doofy is doing while it seems like everyone is working their ass off trying to find out where Nancy is. He is, casually out in his little white t-shirt and his sneakers. Not that he can't have a life or anything, but it was just very off-putting in the very beginning whenever he was at a damn football game or basketball game. So it seems like nothing has changed, right? It seems like nothing has changed. Not only that, but let me show you this. You couldn't catch me dead being the sheriff right now, driving around town like this. You couldn't catch me like this riding around town with the fucking top down. Exactly, Ginger. I know. It's just beyond. It is just not professional, in my opinion. But based upon his track record, seemingly it's, in my opinion, professional isn't part of it. You know what I mean? I mean, like I said, I don't criticize anyone for having a life outside of work and stuff, but there are times where if you are especially an elected uh, figure, it's just not a good look. Oh yeah, that's the sheriff, Deb. That's the sheriff. He is right there in his Corvette, top down. I'm sure he's got uh, some music playing. He's trying to be young again. He might be unelected real soon.
When it comes to studies and going to school, man, I just fucked up the whole shit so bad I can't even imagine. When it comes to studies and going to school, man, I just fucked up the whole shit. So
I don't know what that part, but yep, this is him.
when it comes to studies and going
Then he was here at the basketball thing. This is with his very much pressed Pima County white shirt on. He's got some towels. I think he might be coming out of the gym here or whatever. Yeah, that seemingly remember the funds that purchased. It was like the plaques and the gala party and all that. I just this one particularly really pisses me off. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? He's too old for a midlife crisis. It's what it feels like, doesn't it, Martha? It's what it feels like for sure. I was like, you are freaking kidding me. All right. So last night we were looking into the door and all of that, and I was telling you guys my theory on what I believe this perpetrator did. Which one am I doing, Justin? Okay. 1 second. Why is it not working right? Oh, that's why. Sorry. Because I was doing it wrong. But last night we were looking into this perpetrator, and I truly believe he is ringing the door to let someone in. There was, in my opinion, a lot of missed opportunities in the very beginning for law enforcement, and it was cleared entirely too soon, right? Justin, another elderly woman missing from Tucson, 64 years old, been missing 4 days now from a doctor's office off Orange Grove Road. Really interesting. That's I don't think I really like there's been a lot of elderly people go missing there, but when you think about it, I don't, in my opinion, I don't believe it's related. Um, Arizona is a place where elderly go, right? Hey, War, good to see you, baby. It's a place people go, snowbirds. They go to Arizona, they go to Florida, they go to Nevada, they go to California, and she returned safe. The elderly person that was missing, I haven't heard about it. Hey, Vet, good to see you. Word Sleuth. Second interview, sheriff said he and some of his deputies were at Nancy's. Interesting. Me too. I aspire to be a snowbird as well. After this winter, I might be a snowbird next year. Yeah.
On my show,
Okay.
I really appreciate.
I don't know if we're not going to go to this one first. We're going to go to Megan Kelly first. Mods, if you don't mind dropping the links when I Megan Kelly and any of the other videos that I put up, if you would be so kind. You guys are amazing. Links are also provided in the description as well. Make sure you sub up to this. I've got some comments. I am so fed up, Ginger, with the snow. He's busy getting a haircut and fits him. Yeah, he is. I am going to do 6 months in Florida starting soon. I want to come. I'm so jealous.
And it has to do with,
I know, like, Florida people and Arizona people, they have to hate us snowbirds, but you got to understand.
Your theory, James, about this being potentially a South American, like, B&E crew breaking. See, I'm like in the biz now, a B&E breaking and entering crew, because you've been saying on this program for a couple of weeks now that you'd seen video of like these South American criminals who were breaking into homes.
Now, does anyone remember? I'm trying to think of her name. It was like this illegal immigrant who broke into her house, and they unfortunately R'd her, unalived her, and then they were also caught, I think, in like DC or something like that. Does anyone remember that case? It does happen. I don't feel at all, in my opinion, that this is that. Does anyone else feel that way? Like this is some person from South America, or this is an illegal immigrant or anything like that. Does anyone feel that way? If you do, it's fine. I just don't see it. I just don't see it. I feel like this is 100% targeted, 100% someone that knows her. I don't think an illegal immigrant, someone from South America or whoever, is going to be at her house for 40 some minutes. I don't feel like this person is going to be there potentially on January 11th and January 24th. That's just me though. But I think it's possible it's an illegal, but still targeted, not random. And to be honest with you, if to me, if it was someone illegal or from South America, I believe they were hired. I believe they would have been hired, just in my opinion. Right? So I just don't see it. I don't see it at all.
So we finally went and pulled what you were talking about. And this is my new number one theory. You've got me. Now that I see the video of these guys, I totally get it. Will, you've got to look at this. We pulled video of what James is talking about. We have a few different episodes. Here's one. This is in, hold on a second. This is video 4, which is San Diego. Okay. For the listening audience, they look a lot like our perp. They have a hoodie sweatshirt on. They have black masks. They have gloves. They are pretty much covered head to toe. They're clearly not wanting to be recognized and potentially not wanting DNA. Now, here's another guy. He's got like it looks like a balaclava that you'd wear skiing over your head. You can only see the guy's eyes. Now, here's another group.
Now, what's interesting here, I will say, is that they are in a group. They're in a group here. And the way that they are dressed. However, again, I don't think this is that. But there are people that do think that, though. I don't think it's that, though. Just my opinion.
Sneaking onto somebody's back porch. There's 3 or 4 of them in each of these videos, except, yeah, there's like.
Now, look. They're dressed very similar. This guy's got long pants. He's got the backpack. He's got like the jacket. He's got a hood on and all that. Again, a lot of criminals wear ski masks, dress, very similar, I guess.
Like they're together. Now here, this guy, look, the backpack, the face covering, and there's another one we're going to show. But I'm going to start.
Very good point. Very good point, Rocco. The guys seem fast moving, not like the porch guy. They move differently. Yes. And are these guys taking cameras as well? There's a difference in how these guys are moving than this other person. And I bet you these guys weren't there 40 some minutes. I would bet you that they were not at this house 40 some minutes.
Start with you on it, Will, because it's not your theory, but look at this guy. This is in Tennessee.
Yeah.
He's got the backpack. He's got the reflective thing on the front of the backpack, or a light. I can't tell which. This almost looks like the actual guy who broke into Nancy's. So your thoughts on it, Will?
Okay, so my initial thoughts, and James and we've discussed this at some length, and I think we're going to continue to argue the toss on this one. My gut feeling is it isn't a B&E. The simple reason being is the value of the contents of the house, and secondly, the actual disappearance of Nancy.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I agree. Okay, so with Nancy, they didn't take a damn thing that we're aware of, right? If they, again, I've said this till the cows come home. We don't know of anything that they took there. If their true intention was ransom, again, in my opinion, you're going to write a letter leaving that house. You're going to try to make sure the house doesn't look like a crime scene, in my opinion. And you're also, more importantly, going to write the family and say, don't call the cops. Give me such and such amount of money. You can have her back. You've got 24, 48 hours. They're not going to wait 3 or 4 days before they contact TMZ. You know? So I'm not buying it. I agree with this guy.
His body itself, her person, it's vanished. And without wishing to sound flippant, in terms of the outfits that these individuals are wearing, it looks like a standard day in London, if I'm absolutely honest with you. We get a lot of people walking around dressed like this.
And he's absolutely right. Like, it's not uncommon, especially for like criminals and people who are trafficking rugs, to be on a bike, to with a backpack or whatever as well. Not that if you're on a bike and you have a backpack, you're doing anything wrong. I'm not saying that at all, but it's just a common thing that you see.
So it's really about the fact that the disappearance of Nancy, which sort of conflicts me to fully buying into the B&E theory.
You're on the FITS program of victimology is where you start. Like, look at the victim, what happened to her, who would have the motive to hurt her. That's how you solve the crime, as opposed to
and why remove her and why take her away from the property.
Exactly.
Yeah. Go ahead, James.
And another thing, these people that are in this video, right? These people that you see here that are in this group, did they take the victim? And most criminals rob you when you're not at home. They don't want you. They don't want to even hurt you. They just want the stuff so they can get their money. That's all they want it for.
Well, I was going to ask Susanna, not having a DNA match so far, and they might have one. Again, they're keeping this very close to the vest, what they do have, what they don't have. But if you came in here on a tourist visa, you flew in from another country, and you came in, through a port of entry, we're not going to have your DNA. If you haven't been arrested in the U.S., we're not going to have your fingerprints. So all this DNA, if they're coming up blank, again, to me, that might point toward this theory of, it was a transnational criminal group, and that's why we're not getting any DNA hits. As far as the body, I'm with Will. I wrestle on that a lot, but I also know that, these guys aren't stupid.
Hey, Rose, don't, it's okay, baby. Just hit the thumbs up and just keep commenting in chat. And when someone gifts a membership, you might become a member. It kind of based on how the people who communicate more in chat. So thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you, darling.
And it's very difficult for you as an American to understand, how little human life can be valued. And if you're from another part of the world and I've been there and so is Will, human life doesn't mean as much. And, take her. Why? Because there's evidence on her. Just as Susanna pointed out, there's trace DNA evidence all over her body. So they took her. That could be a theory that would explain, why they did take the body. But again, it is a theory, but a lot of things seem to, be adding up.
Well, here's the other thing that's interesting about the theory. Jennifer Coffindaffer, she's former FBI, and she's a commentator, frequent on News Nation and on X. And she was pointing out, she's a retired FBI special agent, that an FBI spokesperson they said last month that they're posting billboards in cities throughout Arizona, Texas, New Mexico, and California with pictures of Nancy.
Do y'all think, in your opinion, do you guys think this guy is Hispanic, Latino, Mexican, or is he a white dude? What is y'all's thought on that? I think he's a white dude, maybe with a little Latina in him, but I don't think he's like native Mexican. You know what I mean? I get the feeling like he's like a white dude who is, what's the word? How can I say it? He's like a white dude who is ingrained, like he's part of, you know, like I don't know how I'm trying to say it here. He's like I don't know what I mean. You know what I mean? Like he's I don't know. I'll think about it in a second.
You know, call 1-800-CALL-FBI. Now, you could just say those are the states
like
around
mixed.
Arizona and their surrounding states.
You
Or
think he is, Sherry?
you could draw conclusions from this. And here is what she asked. While law enforcement doesn't have the DNA from Nancy's house entirely sorted out, she writes, do they have a DNA contributor's origin figured out? Kind of like the paraben thing we were discussing. Is the person of Mexican descent? This is why I ask. Billboards in California, Arizona.
I think there could be potentially some Italian in there. I think he's just mixed, in my opinion. I don't see like dark tan skin, in my opinion. Like Carlos. He's got very big eyes, very thick eyelashes, right? Very pretty eyelashes, big eyes.
And Texas, particularly Houston. These are all states, she writes, with large Mexican populations. Just because the DNA has not identified the exact person, has the sex and ethnicity of any of the profiles in the samples been determined? Culturally, many Hispanic men groom their eyebrows like women. That's just a fact, she writes. She continues, I am Hispanic, so I'm very familiar with this.
I mean, I think he, like I said, I believe this guy, profiling him, I believe this guy takes good care of himself. I think he dresses nice. I think he cares what people thinks about him, how he looks, all of that. I do believe he's, I think, like Chris said, he can't pass a mirror type. I think he probably has one of those little clippers that he trims his goatee, and if he's got a beard every day, I think he probably wears 2 crystal ice in his ears, and he puts on a lot of cologne, and he wears buckle jeans.
I bet that DNA has already provided some answers. The FBI did not randomly choose where those billboards should go. There was a reason.
I mean, if you go off Sheriff Doofy, Nanos, he says we have kind of thought about why this person may have done this since day one, which is interesting, which to me is very interesting. Yeah, I mean, they absolutely could have, and I'm sure that they did place these billboards strategically, but again, they are really dumb criminals if the entire reason they did this was for some sort of ransom, because they did not do it at all right. They did not do this at all right. You know what I mean? You don't wait several days and contact TMZ. You just don't.
What do you guys make of that?
Well, I think there's every good chance that they may have some sort of profiling there in terms of ethnicity. I think that's altogether possible. My only concern is, and again, that's from principally working in the shadows as opposed to, say, James and guys in the bureau, is that when you have a call 1-800 FBI, the likelihood of someone who may be connected to the individual or individuals responsible for Nancy's disappearance may feel a little suspicious about calling that line in the event that they could be captured or they could be identified through that process, even though there may be assurances that they wouldn't
but we're
be.
trying to figure out whether there's something to glean from the chosen states, right? That Arizona, Texas, Houston,
I'm going to show it in a minute,
and New Mexico. Did I say California? Yeah. Arizona, Texas, New Mexico, and California. And in particular, concentration around Houston could be interesting news. I don't know. And like the thing about the eyebrows, James, we all talked about that. He does look like he has especially groomed eyebrows, Nancy's perp. Though we've also been debating whether it just looks like that because the ski mask may be cutting off the top bushier half that most men would have. Most men don't have perfectly groomed eyebrows like this guy appears to, but it could just be they're kind of sliced off by the mask.
Yeah, I remember when I was first with you, I thought it might be a woman, just based on the eyebrows. But I think Jennifer is making a good point there. And the other thing I just wanted to comment on was that I've seen two stories now. The one you just showed about the billboards, which is called this 1-800, general FBI number. And then there was an article in the New York Post this morning about FBI agents, re-canvassing the neighborhood, asking about two particular days. And what I'm not seeing here is any mention of task force. I'm not seeing any mention of Pima County. So you would believe that the FBI alone is working this case, which we know is not the truth. So what is happening? Is the FBI getting information? Pima County is getting information? And then how are we getting this together as a symbiotic or, a task force type of investigation? To me, it still seems bifurcated. It seems like the FBI is over here doing something and Pima County is over here doing something. And I don't like to see that at all.
Yep. I don't think Pima County and the FBI are on the same track at all. I think they're both, I think they're probably communicating now, but I believe especially after Sheriff Doofy didn't communicate allegedly with the FBI like very much for the first 2 to 3 weeks of this, I don't think that the FBI can rely on Sheriff Doofy. I mean, he's going to basketball games and riding around in his Corvette with the top down. So I think they're on two different tracks. And I think it's really, the first 48, 72 hours is critical, absolutely critical. And you got Sheriff Doofus clearing the damn house in 24, 48 hours.
I would have loved to have, seen that, hey, the task force was here. The Nancy Guthrie task force made up of Pima County, FBI, even Arizona State Police, but I'm not seeing any of that. So, I think it's interesting.
Well, what do you make of the fact that the sheriff was out there, Will, a couple days ago saying he thinks he knows the motive in the case and that he's had a strong suspicion about it from the beginning and there's absolutely nothing that steered him off of that suspicion. What? What is it? Like, why wouldn't you be sharing that?
Let me just play that little part again right there.
He knows the motive in the case and that he's had a strong suspicion about it from the beginning and there's absolutely nothing that steered him off of that suspicion. What?
Right. Nothing that's steered Sheriff Doofy off of this suspicion. How did that happen? Because in the beginning, hey, Green Eyes, he just seemed like he didn't know like the rest of us. But then states also pretty much in the same breath, certainly the same interview, that, lock up your 84-year-old senior citizens in Tucson and the area because they could be going after anybody. And certainly he tells us after 40 some days, though, not in the beginning.
What is it?
In the first interview, He talks about how he believed this was targeted. Well, yeah, I believe it's targeted too. Hey, Raymond, good to see you. Thank you so much for 11 months, my friend. Really, really do appreciate that. Camera picks up perp, but not Nancy coming home. Don't make sense. Yeah. I mean, I think she made it home. I absolutely do think she made it home personally. There are people that don't. You might be, one of them, but just with the blood there, her heart monitor, or pacemaker, her phone, her hearing aids, all of that, I think she made it there. But sometimes I wonder, because we don't know exactly where, again, the sheriff Nano says the family is cleared and all of that, but it was only like 3.5, 4 hours later that these perps, or this perp, comes there and does whatever he or they do to Nancy. And sometimes I'm like, they were there 40 some minutes. Did something happen? Like, sometimes I wonder, and I'm not blaming anybody, but I wonder, like, was there something heated that night on the car ride back or at the dinner? And when Nancy got there, was it just kind of going on for hours? I don't know. I just don't know. I don't think so, but I don't know.
Like, why wouldn't you be sharing that?
To be honest, the sheriff is beyond comprehension in my book right now, Megan. I mean, I anything that comes out of his mouth is drivel as far as I'm concerned, and there is no substance or credibility. So it's just white noise running in the background. But to go back to your original question, which was about these billboards being put into particular areas, having worked a lot in Latin America and certainly working on missing persons and kidnapping cases, the one thing I do know is in Latin communities, they can be a very close-knit community, as they can be, for example, in Islamic communities in the Middle East. They can be very close-knit. They don't necessarily want to share information with the wider populace. They may know, and they certainly tend to know, a little bit about each other's business. So those locating of those billboards could be very relevant to specific ethnicities and specific communities.
Yeah.
But again, there is a suspicion of law enforcement. There's a suspicion of federal agencies. There's a suspicion of the government, which may in itself be counterproductive. Although it's a great gesture, sometimes it can be better to try and disguise these things in a different way, make it slightly less confrontational, to invite people to communicate.
Hey, Megan,
what do you make, Will, of the fact that there's no
sorry,
just a quick point, that there's no picture of the perpetrator on the billboards? Like,
so one thing that's kind of bothered me is, like, they did give video out of this guy and all of that, and they gave like a potential height and stuff, but you would think they would be trying, because if they're truly, bewildered right now and they have no idea who or what's going on, you would think that they would be trying to give the public more information about this guy. Someone knows who this guy is. Obviously, this person is known by someone. He has family somewhere, or he works with other people, right? So why not be giving out a little more video? Why not be giving out a little bit more about what you believe this guy is, more than what you've already put out, right? If they're having trouble identifying this dude, let's put out another 10 seconds of video. Let's give us some more information, what you believe this guy is. It is vet. Yes, it is. That's cute, by the way. I like that.
there's a picture of Nancy. I'm like, okay, great. But like, aren't we actually trying to find somebody who might recognize that guy? I realize it's not exactly like a high school graduation photo, but there is a decent image of him from the video released by the FBI, and it's not on the billboards.
Absolutely. I mean, and again, it's who's serving the purpose here. It's a huge, huge sign. Why isn't there a full-length picture showing his physique?
That's a good point. That's a good point. His picture needs to be on the billboard. Mm-hmm.
Or as far as we can deduct his physique from what he was wearing, the face, the eyes, even the weapon that he was wearing, and the holster that he had that weapon contained within. You know, there's a lot of information about the perpetrator. I mean, in the same way as people will issue, or law enforcement agencies will issue photo fits, you know, and impressionist drawing.
Well, I mean, I understand that, Army vet. If they know who this guy is, they don't want us to know. But if they don't know, like some reports are saying, if they're truly stuck, why not give more out?
Rings of suspects. Again, anybody worth their soul, if they want to know what Nancy Guthrie looks like, then absolutely, yes, it could be useful to have that picture if she may have been seen with other parties. But why not have both?
Yeah, but over $1.2 million? Over $1.2 million to come forward. That's a lot of money. It's like $1,270,000 or something like that. Like, if you, let's say you're an acquaintance with this guy or a distant family member, $1.2 million is very life-changing for most people, right? 1.2, no bites. Yeah. I would tell on everyone but my kids for that money. You know, I mean, most people should do it because it's the right thing, but there's a big incentive. There's a really big incentive.
Yeah, because the odds of this perpetrator, if Nancy is still alive, parading her around in public are probably very slim. But this man is going to have to be out and about, and we presume is out and about right now, walking around living his life, and somebody knows him.
And in my opinion, he is most probably working somewhere, because he only on the weekends was there. On the 11th and the 24th was this person was allegedly, you know, out scouting of whoever, you know, looking around Nancy's place as
Somebody knows.
I think this, like I said, I think this guy, what people thinks about him really, really matters to him, like his looks and everything like that. And I think money's a big factor for him, at least the perception of it.
But not everybody even knows that Nancy Guthrie was kidnapped. You know, Jennifer was pointing out, remember there was that pizza delivery guy who showed up to deliver a pizza to one of the independent journalists who was on site, courtesy of, like, I think a viewer, who seemed totally unaware he was walking right into a crime scene. You know, he went up and was like ringing the bell on Nancy's property. He had no idea. You know, most people are not obsessed with the news. A lot of people don't ever watch the news. Those are the happy people in life. And it's very possible that they don't even.
That she's probably not wrong about that. At least the happy people in life. I don't watch a lot of the news because it is depressing. Justin, you got it on the nose. They don't want us to know. I don't want to give up on Nancy home, but I do give up on Nanos. Yeah. Maybe he's the perp. I don't think he's the perp, but he does have dark ominous. I don't think it's him by any stretch of the imagination. I just think he is a doofus.
Even know Nancy's missing, but if you put a picture, yes, okay, she could be on it, but if you put a picture of this perpetrator big on a billboard, it's tough to pull your eyes away from, even if you haven't heard about the case. James, your thoughts?
Well, yeah, I think you're exactly right.
I mean, if you think about this, if you put this photo, if on a highway, on a main highway, an interstate or whatever, in the place that you're looking for, like hundreds of thousands, maybe millions within a 24-hour period is going to see this guy's face. When they don't watch the news, but they are driving to somewhere, they're doing something.
Right, and I think it's a misstep, from the FBI perspective, because to me, missing person doesn't resonate as much as abducted. So if the words on the billboard were abducted and exclamation point, that would get a lot.
Great point.
Missing person mean, okay, there's a lot of missing people, right? Well, let's say abducted, and then you're right. Let's have a picture. And you just said what all these other experts have been saying since this case started, which was what? Oh, someone knows this guy. And that's why they went up to $1 million. Well, someone knows this guy. Well, guess what? It doesn't look like anybody knows this guy, or they're not talking. And the reason you may not know this guy is he's not from here.
International disputes, inflation, rising national debt, digital currency. There's a never-ending.
Okay. That was really good. That was really good piece there, I thought, on Miss Megan Kelly. Thank you, Megan, for that. Okay. Y'all are telling me that Brian has put out some new things. Hold on 1 second. Oh, 4 minutes ago. Hold on. I'm going to go to Brian Inton on his short.
Hey guys, so a couple
I love how Brian waves every time. It's so cute. Very cute.
Developments today in the Nancy Guthrie search. It's now officially day 47 since Nancy Guthrie went missing all the way back on February 1st. There are some reports that, remember, she took an Uber to her daughter Annie's house for dinner the night before she went missing. There are some new reports that there was actually a recording of her inside that Uber. You know how some Ubers have like a dash cam that points out, but also a camera that points at the back seat? Apparently this Uber had one of those, and investigators have the video of Nancy Guthrie from that night.
I wonder, did Nancy talk to the Uber driver? Was she on the phone? Did she look okay?
But reportedly, it's not really significant. It doesn't really show anything that would help with the investigation, but it's just kind of interesting. The other interesting thing is I did an episode with Morgan Wright, former law enforcement, really smart guy, who went over with me step by step why he does not believe this is a burglary gone wrong. Remember, that's been one of the theories for a while. Basically, he just says burglars, if something happened and Nancy Guthrie died in the house when they were there for whatever reason, they wouldn't have gone through the trouble to take her body away. That is just
it's a lot to it's a lot for a complete stranger to take her body, right? It's usually someone who is close or knows the victim, and they don't want the victim found. They don't want him found. And I agree with that wholeheartedly. This is not someone that's just some random person breaking in.
Not something that burglars would have done. He really believes that this was a targeted abduction. Hey guys, so a couple developments today.
I do too. I think that would be very interesting to see. Oh, he did an interview with this guy. He's a really good guy. I like this guy. Let me show you. Guys, if you're just joining us, please hit that thumbs up button. Greatly appreciate you all being here. Share the live out. It's a way to help. Thank you, honey. Yes, because they wouldn't have left any evidence on the body, so why take it? Yeah, I mean, generally, like if it's like someone that's just some random person, they don't take they'll burn. They'll just light the house up.
It's so impressive. CEO and founder of the National Center for Open and Unsolved Cases, editor and host of Crime Reconstructed Substack and podcast, which I love your Substack, by the way. You're also a senior advisor in the U.S.
I think he's on X too. Someone, is he called Citizen Behind the Badge? His name's Morgan Wright. He's very
State Department Anti-Terrorism Assistance Program, senior law enforcement advisor for the 2012 Republican National Convention. You taught behavioral analysis at the National Security Agency, spent a year teaching the
Right. And, exactly, Tracy, she was stalked, no doubt. If she was stalked, that says this was premeditated. This was planned. This is someone that has been thinking how to do this. There was a target on her back, for another lack of other words.
FBI had to conduct internal investigations, and then for 18 years you were with state and local law enforcement as a state trooper and detective. So I think hopefully I hit the highlights there. And you were also in Tucson recently, so you know a lot about the Nancy Guthrie case.
Yeah, I want to correct. I taught them internet investigations, not internal. There is a whole different mindset when you say you taught internal investigations. So I was never internal affairs, just for the cops listening out there. Yeah.
Good to know. And you were in Tucson, was it a couple of weeks ago?
Well, actually, no, it was when the raid went on. You and I were talking. So when they did that raid, it was just, I think, a couple weeks into it. So I was out there, as they say, with another network. But it was great because you had, and Brandon, too, that's one of the most important.
Yeah, that is true. But they, just a regular criminal who's just wanting money really quick, they usually don't care as much. They're just looking for quick money. They're not... they usually don't take the risk. They can sometimes, but they usually don't take that risk to put a body in a car and then hide them.
Things you do, you just can't report on it from afar. One of the things that made you so effective, and look, let me tell you, even on these other networks, people were referencing your reporting because you were out there, you were in the midst of things, you were getting information. If you're not on the ground and you don't understand how the roads are, you don't understand how the community is, you don't understand how hard that desert is out there, it gives a whole different complexion to the reporting. So it was
By the way, this week it's supposed to be like hot out there, like 100 degrees.
Important to be out there. And with your reporting, it's important to actually be on the ground. I even followed when you drove into Mexico to show how easy it was to cross the border.
And you're right. Unless you're there, it's such a unique kind of landscape, and Nancy's neighborhood is so unique. I wanted to start off asking you, though, the sheriff in his last interview said that they have a theory of what they think happened, and he won't say what it is. And you've been studying this case since the beginning, and like you said, you've been to Tucson.
To me, if Nanos is telling the truth, if they have this theory and he's thought this from the beginning, and they're not putting said guy's name up on a billboard, and they are not asking for more information, or not putting out more information about this guy, meaning more photos or video or more data, potentially. We know approximately how tall he is, but what more they think about him. To me, this says that I think they possibly have a pretty good idea of who this is, even though Nanos is not.
What is your working theory right now? I mean, some people have said burglary gone wrong. Other people think it's a kidnapping, maybe something related to Savannah Guthrie, a stalker. What's your working theory?
So one of the things I do on the Substack, but I walk people back. I don't have theory. What I have are hypothesis. And the reason I say that is, and I've seen this happen, and you've seen this happen too, Brian. I've seen this happen in big cases. It starts with, well, we have a theory, then a theory becomes what we know, and what we know becomes the narrative. And I will tell you the biggest failure of that, I was in D.C., in Northern Virginia, not only for 9/11, but the D.C. sniper. And the narrative was, it was a white panel van. Totally wrong. They got it all.
Do y'all remember the D.C. sniper? Do y'all remember the D.C. sniper? That was like, I'm in Virginia, right? So not far from me. And when that happened, it was like 2003 or 2004, something like that. Everyone was so scared to like pump gas. Like we were all so scared to pump gas. Like we would be looking around us and all that. That was just so
wrong.
evil.
It was a blue Chevy Caprice. So the reason I say that is I test some theories, and I get that they might have a theory, but I think they confuse theory with hypothesis. Sometimes they get theory, but here's mine. I wrote a Substack on this early on, and having investigated missing people, kidnappings, burglaries, robberies, homicides. When you look at this case, Brian, it's only one of two things. Either it's a burglary that went wrong, or it was never a burglary. And if it was a burglary gone,
hey, Mama B, you can text me or email me. Mods, can y'all drop my number where they can text me or email me?
wrong, then the biggest question you have to ask is what conditions existed inside the house to where somebody that was there to commit a property crime primarily decided it was less risky to kidnap somebody than it was to just flee. And then I think that's the thing where we're missing.
Exactly. Who kidnaps someone when their intention of going there is not to kidnap someone? Now, think about that. If this person or persons, the goal was to not kidnap Nancy, but just go there to rob her and run out the door, get in their car and sell whatever they stole or whatever to score some money, but they just don't take anything and rather take her and hide her. Doesn't make sense.
Which I know you'd love to get inside. So would I, that when the crime scene happened, what does it actually look like? What did the bed look like? Did it look like Nancy got out of bed versus was she dragged out of bed? That's the difference between a confrontation in the bedroom or somebody that gets up. So, I mean, here's the thing I boiled down to. Over time, I was saying the quiet parts out loud,
What if she wasn't awake at all? What if they went in there and they snuck in there? She couldn't hear very good at all. And they just had their pew-pew with them, and she didn't know, and she was just taken out after that.
I remember being on with you and Elizabeth Vargas. We were talking about this. I said, it's not at some point you have to realize it's not a missing person anymore. We have to realize Nancy was 84 years old, cardiac compromised. You violently confronted at 2:00 in the morning in your own home. We know it's violent because there was blood. Whether they said, well, she was taking Coumadin, doesn't matter. You still got blood, still forced out of your house. That's a violent confrontation. So my question was, I realized everybody said, hey, well, we want to, we're hoping for her return. I'm more of a pragmatist. It's like you have to be left brain, right brain. When you investigate stuff, you have to compartmentalize. I'm more like, I said, you need to treat this as a no-body homicide because it tells the public something different about what you're looking at and where you're looking for things. Exactly. If I'm looking for a missing person, then if I'm up in the Catalina Foothills or the Sonoran Desert there, I'm not looking for anything out of place. I'm just going, oh, this case is going on, but it's a missing person, as opposed to when we have a no-body homicide, we're looking for clandestine grave sites, open grave sites, concealed grave sites, things that when you're out walking in the foothills, you need to be looking for these kind of things. So for me, over time, I've gone from initially, you say either was a burglary that got wrong or it was never a burglary. And if it was a targeted abduction, then you have to look at entry, control, and egress. And so over time, I've moved away from, being on the fence, waiting for information to come out. But the longer it goes, Brian, I think if I were testing a hypothesis, the one I would be testing.
It's your birthday, Trish. Happy birthday, darling. Make sure you say happy birthday to Trish. I'll sing happy birthday to her after. Mods, please remind me.
Is a targeted abduction. Why? Because the tradecraft, just the sheer logistics, the mechanisms of control. When you target somebody for abduction, you have to have transportation, you have to have logistics, and it's going to take two people. I really believe, based on the evidence, and I've tested my own hypothesis, there had to be two people there for this test.
I agree with that 100%. Like my theory was last night, because this camera did not move at all. If he was trying to remove it, then it would have moved ever so slightly, but he was down there with his thumb. I think in my opinion, he was ringing the doorbell, most likely, in my opinion, for the other person in the house, or even to see if Nancy would come to the door. But I think it was most probably for someone else.
Actually work. And how do I know that? Well, the one thing I'd love to have inside the house, Brian, that I don't have is access to see, was blood pooled inside the house? In other words, was she targeted? Was she restrained to where blood dripped down? Or did it come out of the house?
Now, remember, there was blood all the way out to here. And they said blood in the driveway. I thought there was a little blood up here and most of the blood was here, but there were blood droplets all the way out pretty far to the sidewalk as well. And again, we do know 100% that is Nancy's blood. So either she walked out or she was carried out. I think she was carried, in my opinion.
Right to a vehicle, because we know there was a vehicle, because you've seen that the blood stopped. So long roundabout, but I wanted to give the foundation to say the longer this goes on, the more it appears to be a targeted abduction. That
exactly,
to me, it's a targeted abduction that went wrong. They were expecting her to survive. She didn't survive. And that's why very quickly, that's why there's been no, this whole thing about TMZ and the ransom notes, I call those parasitic communications. I never believed those from the first day, because they don't have two things, either proprietary information or proof of life. So they didn't demonstrate.
Yeah, and I'm not 100% convinced. I think maybe one or two of the ransom letters, someone that wrote it might be involved. They never gave proof of life. He's absolutely right. But in my opinion, the reason they didn't give proof of life is because they couldn't give proof of life, because I don't believe she is or has been alive since she either left that home or within a couple hours of her leaving, being taken from that home. But one or two of the ransom letters, they were supposedly telling certain things about the scene that only they would know.
Right, that. And a third thing, no communication channel. So over time, I know nobody wants to hear it, but I'm an investigator. I'd love to say that there's hope out there, but in reality, this is a no-body homicide right now.
Yep.
So you think targeted abduction?
And just remember, even Sheriff Doofy, Sheriff Nanos, he had homicide out there from the beginning. And he said there were really things in the home that was very, very concerning. And he said this was out of the ordinary. That's his words in the beginning.
That's your hypothesis.
Yeah, I would say if I were going to test something and really start putting weight behind it and start tasking people to say, here's what I want you to go out and do, it's okay, let's look at targeted abduction. Simply because we look at, there doesn't appear to be forced entry. I know you looked at the house, but that's not unusual when you think of.
In my opinion, this is a homicide, and you can call it an abduction because she was taken, but to me, it was a homicide and they are hiding her.
How often, I can tell you there's sometimes I've woken up in the morning, went to take the trash out, and
Yes,
I realized, holy cow, my garage door's open. And I'm pretty security conscious. I've got my security camera. So what's the probability that Nancy went to bed that night, like any other night, came home from her kids, maybe a little tired because she's 84, goes to sleep and just didn't lock a door? That's the opportunistic nature of a targeted abduction. Look, when I used to do search warrants with
that she just didn't lock a door. Do you guys think she just didn't lock a door? Yeah, I mean, I think we've all left our garage door open or something unlocked. That is, yeah, especially being 84 years old. But I don't think that this is just someone that's left the door unlocked at all. I just don't. And to me, I don't know about you, but if I'm particularly alone, I am way more conscious about locking the door, right? If there's not, especially, I don't know, you just are. If there's no other adults in the house or whatever, like especially like if I go to like a hotel room or something and I'm by myself, like I'm always making sure it's locked as good as they do. So just me.
With our tactical team and stuff, I said, don't kick down the door just because you can. Try the door. Most of the time, Brian, the door was open. You didn't even have to kick it down. You could just walk in. You didn't have to kick the door in. So in this case, I'm thinking that I would have to examine the possibility, was a door open? And if so, that makes the issue of targeted abduction much easier to rationalize, because
Fire Girl says you can open and close a door from, I think you mean miles away, on your phone. Yes, means nothing here. Door open and close, Justin. You can, Fire Girl. You can open it. You can be, if you have the app, you can open it. You can be in China and it'll open in Tucson. However, there's a big difference. Whenever you open it from an app, there is a log. There is data points. And we do know that there was data at around 9:45, 9:47 when Nancy got there. It opened and it closed. Took 2 minutes. However, if you open it with a clicker, or you open it with your pin pad that's usually on the wall beside your garage, there's no data points. It just sends a signal. It's not logged or anything like that. So that's the difference, and that's how we know that it opened during that time. Now, when Tommaso and Annie showed up, we don't have the garage door. We don't have any log points there in our timeline. So assuming that they didn't open the garage door. So how did they get in, right? I'm not saying they're involved in any way, shape, or form. I'm just telling you the difference. And wait, I scratched that. I take that back. They could have opened it, but they would have had to open it with the clicker or the pin pad. That's what I meant. Because there was no log the time Tommaso and Annie got there, but there was the night before, which means she went through her garage door.
At some point, again, your behavior, you don't get better under stress. People don't shoot better under stress. People don't drive better under stress. People don't talk better under stress. So you have a fight or flight syndrome. So that person, if he was truly a burglar and they're only to take stuff, I would expect to see signs of theft, signs of burglary, not a staged crime scene. If it was a staged crime scene, Brian, I will tell you right now, my belief then, I would be leaning very heavily towards targeted abduction.
Yeah, I've always struggled with, if it was a burglary gone bad, why they would go through all the trouble to take Nancy away. Why wouldn't you just freak out and leave? And I've heard two different things from different detectives that not involved in the case, but just, former detectives who have said, some have said, oh, you would definitely just leave the body. You'd want to get away as quickly as possible. Others have said, oh, you'd want to take the body to get rid of the evidence. But I don't know. I never really, you're shaking your head. That never really made sense to me.
Now, I'll tell you, I had the chance to be trained by one of the original members of the FBI's behavioral science unit, a guy named William T. Peters. I went through the course. And human behavior is actually fairly predictable. I'll give you a good example. When you look at terrorism cases and what terrorists do, I remember I used to work with this New Scotland Yard, the Counterterrorism Command, SO15. Two of my friends were involved in the 7705 train bombings and bus bombings in London. And those terrorists did the exact same thing the terrorists at Mumbai did, Lashkar-e-Taiba, the same thing that the 9/11 hijackers did. Broad target selections, initial reconnaissance, final target selection, rehearsals.
Another thing about if this was just some sort of, that they were just trying to get in there to rob or whatever. He's right. People do generally, human behavior is pretty predictable. Not 100%. Everyone is truly unique, but it's generally leans in the same area. But people also, particularly people who are just going in there to rob someone, they take the path of least resistance. right? They generally, human behavior is they take the path of least resistance unless they have a motive, like a real big motive against the person, right? If this person was just going in there to rob, they would just make sure Nancy was either, they may tie her up, they may just say, sit on the bed, give me your phone or whatever. We're going to take this, don't move, the whole thing that they'll do. And they leave. They want to get in, out, gone. The path of least resistance. They don't want to put too much energy into this because they don't have that emotion with her behind it. They don't care about her, right? Meaning if someone, if there's a financial motive to benefit this perpetrator, or they feel like they have been wronged in some way, and that has angered them so much to the point of preparing all of this weeks potentially in advance, or she knew information that she might tell other people that gets them in trouble, and that would anger them or scare them, then they will not do the path of least resistance. They're going to make sure they cover it all up, right? But just, some guys going in there to get what, some flat screens or some jewelry or whatever, they don't care. They don't care. Not at all. Guys, thank you all for being here. Please hit that thumbs up.
Actions on the objective, escape and exploitation, escape and evasion. People go through these steps the same way. So that's why when we'll talk later too about.
And that's another great point, Susie Q. Apparently, Nancy had no firearms, but how would the intruder know that? I'm elderly and have a few. Great point. Not only that, that is another reason why most people that are going to break in, just criminals that are going to break in, they don't want you to be there because they don't want to, number one, get their socks blown off of them, right? If you do have a pew-pew or pew-pews in your home, or number two, have to fight you. Again, the path of least resistance is what the perpetrator that's just stealing something wants to do, right? They don't want you to be there. They don't want to fight with you. They don't want you to blow their socks off, anything. They're going to make sure you're gone. It's not what happened here.
There's a date that the FBI is interested in. There's a chance, a lot of these folks that are there to do certain kinds of crimes will reconnaissance a neighborhood, and they'll do it during the day. They'll do it when there's no, it's not unusual to see a car, drive around but it's unusual to see a car at 2:00 in the morning drive through in an area that's normally quiet. So human behavior is predictable. And so I don't lean towards a burglar, even though they're armed, would decide that violence in the home, it's less risk.
The rug, I think it's like one of those fiber, you know what I'm talking about? It's like some type of fiber. It's the real rough where you they shed all the time. You know what I'm talking about? I think it was that. I don't think it was like
risky to take the body than it is to flee. Why? Because the minute you do that, Brian, you've increased your risk. This is why when they look at serial offenders, when they looked at serial killers like Gary Ridgway, actually a friend of mine, Dave Reichert, was the lead investigator on the Green River killers. And you look, they only go out a certain distance. That's why when you start looking at bodies, for example, Long Island, Gilgo Beach, Rex Sherman, you start looking at bodies and where they're placed. There's a thing called distance decay. You only go so far before that risk goes way up, too far up, that it's too risky for that person. And so they start bringing it back in. That's the max distance they're going to go out. And so in this case, I look at human behavior and say, what happens under stress? It's fight or flight. That is the natural instinct we have. And that goes back to when we were cavemen and you got saber-toothed tigers. It's like, is that thing going to eat me or is it going to stomp me? I'm not going to stick around to find out. I'm going to leave. I mean, we can trace back how criminals act back to how we acted back when we were cavemen.
So if it's a targeted abduction, and I tend to agree with you about the TMZ letters, I just don't think they ever really made sense. And there was never proof of life from what we know. And there was never a real way to make contact or send real money. But if it was a targeted abduction, then what was the motive?
See, that's the part where the sheriff says they think they figured out the motive, which tells me, well, look,
listen to this.
One thing I tell people I approach this. I learned a long time ago, Elon Musk is really smart. Elon Musk is also really rich because he's really smart. And when he found out a better way to build batteries, which was the use of first principles, deconstruct it, decompose it down to its structural elements, then rebuild it. So that's what I do with cases. It doesn't matter what you believe. It matters what must be true.
And what you can prove. For
the sheriff's statement to be accurate, what must be true? They must have had information or evidence inside the house that indicated that this was a targeted abduction, or they received communication later.
Like I said earlier, if they have had a reason that they knew that this was targeted from day one, they have to have something that has pointed that this was targeted, right? You don't just say, this is targeted. They had to have something
that indicated this was targeted abduction. And in a case like this, I would say, Brian, that if it were, this is a hypothesis, if it's a targeted abduction, then what explains the lack of true communication? One hypothesis you test is that the victim died. There's nothing left to ransom. I mean, you might think, people go, well, you would do like the TMZ. No, look, you reach a certain point to where that every time you have a contact with law enforcement, you increase the risk. You increase the risk of detection. It has been.
And he's absolutely right. You increase the risk of detection, all of that. But also, when you took Nancy out of the house and you are driving around going to put her somewhere, in my opinion, she's probably in the desert somewhere. That also increases your risk of detection as well. Everything you do becomes more and more risky.
Decades since somebody truly got away with kidnapping in the United States. The FBI has just got this down to an art form. People say, well, they can use crypto.
When's the last time? Ransom letters nowadays just doesn't happen. Right? This isn't, the 50s or the 60s anymore where, people just give this ransom letter and say, drop all the money here and I'll have her at this place. Doesn't happen like that anymore.
So a friend of mine, actually, I think I put him in touch with your network. A friend of mine's Dave Kennedy. Him and I actually testified for Congress. He came out of NSA. We talked about this. After 9/11, the abilities financially to track back things, even cryptocurrency, even things off the dark web, we've got those capabilities now. So it becomes very difficult to do that. And so I just look at this and I go, it's one of two things in my hypothesis. Either the sheriff has information or the sheriff's department has information we don't have, which was received after the crime was committed, or there's something at the scene which clearly indicates that this was a targeted abduction. And if it's a targeted abduction, then I think it's not a burglary gone wrong. It's a targeted abduction gone wrong, because the whole goal of an abduction.
I don't think it was a target. Yes, she was abducted because she was taken against her will. Technically, yes. But I don't believe it was an abduction that went wrong. I believe, in my opinion, she was targeted to be unalived. And this person knows her, or was the person hired these people, and she was just meant to be unalived from the get-go.
Is to get somebody you can ransom, and if she dies, then that's why I say treat it as a no-body homicide. We have to start looking for, in this case, I think either open grave sites or concealed grave sites.
All right, guys, I want to introduce.
Yep, open grave sites or concealed grave sites. I agree, and I think she's most likely in the desert. But I've mentioned too, these people had this so planned, or person had it so planned. If they were there on the 11th, if they were there on the 24th, in my opinion, they are many times they have it planned where they're going to put their victim, right? Meaning many times they will have a grave already dug, because it takes a lot, just as it takes a hell of a lot of energy to get someone out of the house, dead weight, so to speak. That doesn't mean she's necessarily dead at the time, but she's pretty much immobile without a cane or a walker or something, can't go to great lengths. So if they planned the 11th, the 24th, and this was targeted, it's very likely they already knew where they were going to put her as well. Sometimes they dig a grave, sometimes they have a place in the water or wherever, which water is a lot more risky.
Abduction where they were going to ask for ransom and then things went wrong. But Savannah still put out those videos early on saying, we just want our mom back. Basically, either way, we just want closure. I mean, she kind of acknowledged that her mom might not be alive. Why, if you're the kidnapper, why not, or the abductor, why not say, okay, we can still get some money here. Let's get some money and return the body.
I go back to what I said. It is very difficult in this day and age with the FBI. A lot of people bag on the FBI about a lot of things. And look, we have our own jokes between law enforcement and the FBI. But let me tell you, at the end of the day, the people working the cases, the people out there on the front lines, all great people, the analysts, the FBI agents, they work really hard. But to your point, if I've just done a targeted kidnapping is a serious offense. But homicide is the highest level of offense you can commit, right? The murder, first degree murder, and this would be felony murder, the death of somebody in the course of an inherently dangerous felony, and a dangerous felony is kidnapping. I'm looking at it, so there's another technique too, Brian. It's called a windthropping. So windthropping is what the MI6, what the Scotland Yard used to do when they were engaged in operations against the IRA, the Royal Ulster Constabulary, which is now the Police Service of Northern Ireland. It was getting in the mind of the offender. Where would they hide their weapons? What would they do? And that was how they found these caches of weapons and stuff. So it's a technique we use in cold case homicides, no bodies, to say, what would the offender do? So I'm standing here going, I'm thinking as...
That's what I say all the time. We got to get in the mind of this person or persons who did this. What were they thinking? What would they have done? What makes the most sense?
The offender. This is a hypothesis. I've broken into a house. It was a targeted kidnapping. I thought I was going to get money. Oops, she died. I got to get rid of the body. Why would I increase my risk by attempting to ransom or get money out of a body when I'm going to be charged with felony murder, which means I'll go to prison for the rest of my life? At some point, it's like a business. You go, I'm going to cut my losses. I'm going to get rid of everything that ties me to this case, and just hope that it goes away. That's why I think we haven't seen any real verified communications. All of those TMZ things, none of those were verified. And I tell people, the reason these communications kept coming, Brian, think about watching sports on national television, any of the networks. When's the last time you saw a streaker on national TV? You don't. Again,
I'm not convinced all of them were fake, because the law enforcement did say, or there were reports rather, that a couple of the letters they were very interested in because of certain things that maybe only the perpetrator would know. But again, you got to think about it like this as well. It puts them at a higher risk of getting caught. And because you can potentially be tracked that way as well. There are certain ways that is really, really, really hard to be tracked, but it's, again, nonetheless, it still puts you at a risk would this person do this? Now, they didn't ever show Nancy. We know that they never showed Nancy alive or dead, which, in my opinion, they couldn't, because I don't believe she was alive. They couldn't show that she was alive.
Why? Because
so if they did it, in my opinion, it was just more of a thing to throw them off that, yeah, she's alive.
it only encourages bad behavior. Every time they published one of these letters, it only encouraged that same person or another person to write another letters. Because why? Because they got their 15 minutes of fame.
Yeah. One thing that just from talking to people on the ground in Tucson, talking to some sources, and just what my gut told me, and I don't know why, but I always felt like, and I still feel like, whoever did this is not far away from Nancy's. Not necessarily in the neighborhood, but I just never got the sense that this person came from another state or something. And I may be totally wrong.
I don't think you are. And apologies. I know we're doing this kind of, my cat loves me.
Yeah, I was going to say, did I just see like a tail go by or something?
You did. I think she's going to go lay on her. When I do my Substack, I do a daily update. When I do my Substack, I also have a camera up here. So I do my kitty cam. I let them see her over there.
The Bitcoin.
No, I'll tell you, here's why I think this is why I think you're spot on. And this is why, but you have to look at behavior, right? That area out there, you've been out there, Brian. I mean, I think back to my college days when you could do it when you were younger. You'd go out drinking and then stumble back to the fraternity or the residence hall. It was tough enough when the roads, and I grew up in Kansas where the roads were right angles. But at that out there, I said it's the equivalent of taking a bowl of spaghetti and turning it upside down. That's what the road plan looks like out there. There is absolutely no rhyme or reason. So you either need a navigation app or you have to have knowledge of that area.
Yes. And like I said, if this was not targeted, think about this. If this was not targeted, there is a million other easy, very easy, accessible places for someone to abduct or rob to get out of there, where you're less likely to be seen on camera. Look at this map right here. This is kind of in the middle. It's not a place that you're going to go that's convenient. So this tells me, in my opinion, this is obviously targeted. They do look targeted. Brian, yeah, he works very hard, a lot of hours.
Yeah. And the other thing too,
the news is 24/7. It's constant. Always.
That is an area, and I also wrote another article too. It was about the egress analysis. How would you get out of there?
I love that, by the way, what you did with that. That was so interesting.
Well, but
hold on, what was that? What did he do?
That is an area, and I also wrote another article too. It was about the egress analysis. How would you get out of there?
I love that, by the way, what you did with that. That was so interesting.
Well, but that proves my point, right? So it's like when you look at, in fact, I'll tie it back to something the FBI did, the missing kids. The FBI, and this is something I got involved with 24 years ago. This was actually part of the work I was doing inside the intelligence community right after 9/11, because I looked at what
I just pulled that egress analysis. We'll go over that in just a little bit. Nobody is abducting her and taking her to Mexico. No, I don't think so either. Oh, I've got a photo of Nancy with her parents, by the way. I'll show you guys here in a little bit. Guys, make sure you hit that thumbs up button. Appreciate you all being here.
The FBI was doing with it's called the Highway Serial Killer Initiative. They would find where bodies would dump and they would tie them. What they would find is that they were along major interstates, major routes. And so some of these ended up being then people involved in trucking, long haul trucking.
Most bodies are, when they're dumped, they are very close to a road. Very, very close to a road. Again, because it's the path of least resistance. It's human behavior. It doesn't mean she's 100%, but it's not like, usually you don't see like a body just dropped in the middle of a forest, like 3 miles away from a road. It's usually within feet of a road because you have to move that body, and without any car access, ATV access, it's very hard. It's very, very hard. If this may sound a little weird or something, but if you have hunters in your family, deer hunters, and they hunt deer, and deers usually weigh less than humans, but they have to generally, you hear them dragging the deer out of the woods. That they generally don't do alone, right? It's very difficult, very, very difficult to do something like that.
When you look at some of the missing kids, so for the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, the friend of mine retired from the Marshals, John Clark, he became the executive director. I mapped out all of his cases for him. They had never seen a map at that time. And you know what? A lot of those cases where the children went missing were near major highways, major thoroughfares. So when you look at this, one of the reasons they did it, though, because they did not have local knowledge of the area. So when you kidnap somebody and you dump somebody, you're going to go off the road again, windthropping. Where would I go? What would I do? That body's going to be not that far off the road, because what are you doing? You get back onto the interstate or you get back onto that major thoroughfare so that you can leave the area. This tells me, when I look at everything that goes on around it, and I look at how comfortable that person was, how comfortable they were staying in that area from 147 till no later than 228. That is a lot of time. In this, the world of military, they go, that's a lot of time to be on the X. That guy was on the X for at least 40, if not 47 minutes, because we know at 212, at least the sheriff's time. Exactly.
I mean, there's only 24 hours in a day, right? And these guys were almost there an hour almost, 41, 47 minutes. Timeline, there's a sensor goes off inside the house, one of the cameras, 228. There's no ping between the Bluetooth pacemaker and the phone, but that's a 16-minute window. Yes. But Brian, that goes back to what I'm saying. If it was a burglary gone wrong and all you were in there were to burgle, think within 16 minutes, remember, your behavior doesn't get better with stress. It degrades with stress. In 16 minutes or less, you have to figure out now, what am I going to do with the body? How are we going to get her out of here? Do I have somebody working with me? And 16 minutes is still a long time. The average burglary lasts, I think it's less than 8 minutes. And that's still.
Where's the car positioned at? How do I get the car here? How do we get her loader in? Where are we going to take her? What are we going to do with her? You have to figure all of that out in 16 minutes, as opposed to somebody whose intent was a targeted abduction. They have that all worked out. That this is what they're prepared for. Same thing with the home invasion. Home invasion expect people to be there. That's why they come in armed. That's why they come in to do control. So to kind of circle right back to your point, I think we're.
And just so, we got the picture of this guy coming up to the door, right? This is not home invasion. When he's coming up to the door, he's coming up pretty mopey to be, doing something like this. He's not coming up there to rip off that doorbell and get in that door. He's just kind of, moping around a little bit. It's not that. So when we see this video, I do wonder if they are getting ready to take her out at this point. She's not
looking for somebody. If they're not from the area, they have knowledge of the area. And last point here, I will tell you, this is how it works. When I was a detective, we had a series of bank robberies in our town. And through a series of investigative steps and informants, we found out that our suspect had been convicted in Kansas, but was on what they call compact parole. He was compacted to the state of Georgia. As we found out, this conspiracy brought this guy from the state of Georgia back to Kansas to do the robberies. Everybody was familiar with the area. They knew the area. but it was somebody living in Georgia. Now, this guy went on to rob a couple banks in Georgia. During one of them, he attempted to carjack somebody, shot and killed him. He got the death penalty. And my case, my person was a Supreme Court case, the state of Georgia versus Michael Nance. He avoided the death penalty that the Supreme Court ruled on because he said, oh, well, look, I'm an IV drug abuser. The needles would be, harmful to me. But Brian, that's my point. This guy was not living there, but he was from there. He knew the area. So he knew once the bank was robbed, he knew how to drive. He knew where to go. He had knowledge.
I mean, for let's say this is someone from out of state that did this to Nancy. If they don't know the area, they don't know the routes, they don't know where they're going to place her. If this is random and they're just, going state to state doing this to people, not at all. Not at all. Didn't you maybe think the local sheriff put her in the back of it? Are you serious, Brenda? You can't be serious. Robbery or kidnapping are the only two choices. Why can't it be something else entirely? Because there is behaviors and there's patterns and there's timelines, and it doesn't fit anything like that. I mean, if you have a suggestion, honestly, if you have another suggestion, please sound it off in the chat. Love to see that. But people's behaviors, people's timelines, the way things went,
local domain knowledge, and that's what you're looking for. So I'll bring it back around. There are more indicators than not that this person is familiar with that area and they don't live in that area. I would say that they were from that area and they've been up in those hills before, because that is not an easy thing to go up into that place at 2:00 in the morning and navigate the roads.
Yeah, the way you described it, like spaghetti. I mean, even I was there for, I think, 43 days. And I went there every day to Nancy's house. And even in the end, I was still using my GPS to get out of the neighborhood, at night, especially, just because it was so dark. And I would even make wrong turns. I'm like, gosh, I've been here for over a month and I still can't figure out how to get to her house. Like it really is a very unique, and the ups and downs of the road. And it's so dark at night. Some of the houses look the same or are set off the street. So it would not be an easy place to get in and out of if you didn't know.
No.
Your Substack where you described the different ways to get.
And right, Deb, they were in her home before. I do believe I think that they were most likely, I would almost bet that they were in her home before. But remember, the 11th and the 24th, if they were there, they were certainly around her home before. And I think that they were absolutely in her home before, because this is someone that is emotional about Nancy. They're mad, they're angry, or they felt betrayed, wrong.
Get away. Is there one that you think is probable here?
Well, one of the great things too about being down there, I have some friends, and one of them was a former Tucson police officer, went to Arizona DPS. One of them, I think she's done some stuff on your network too, Sergeant Betsy Brantner Smith.
Yeah.
Justin, do you know date when renters left according to helicopter searching for pacemaker? The renters, from what I understand, were moving out 2 or 3 days, allegedly, before Nancy went missing. And I know people were like, well, it was before, so it can't be related. This, I don't agree with that. They could still absolutely be involved, because this was planned. Again, the 11th and the 24th. This is planned. So I have not given up that.
Wait, we've been all longtime friends, and they had local domain knowledge. They live in Marana. So we actually talked about that. And so if you were doing a targeted abduction or even leaving the scene. What are the chances? So we looked at, very unlikely that they would go north because of the mountains in that range, based on the way the person was dressed and their need to get back to their area of operations. They're like a marauder, what we call a marauder. A marauder is somebody who operates out of a fixed base, goes out, ranges out, but comes back after that, comes back. And so they act more like a marauder, which means a marauder has to have a location, a base of operations. That base of operations, we think, was more likely towards South Tucson. Why? Because of the way the person was dressed, the way they carried the pistol, that carry they call down there, it's called a Mexican carry. And for those folks who think that, oh, that guy's just an amateur, folks, I will tell you, you talk to Dave Smith down there, you talk to Betsy, there are police officers who've been killed by gang members who carried their gun exactly like that. Why? Because it was
someone just emailed me that today. They said, look, it's called a Mexican, what did you call it?
A Mexican carry.
Someone just emailed me that today.
What? Hold on. Wait, what? 1 second. I got to go back here.
South Tucson. Why? Because
hold on. I got to go back.
So they act more like a marauder, which means a marauder has to have a location, a base of operations. That base of operations, we think, was more likely towards South Tucson. Why? Because of the way the person was dressed, the way they carried the pistol, that carry they call down there, it's called a Mexican carry. And for those folks,
a marauder, a Mexican carry. Now, I am not familiar with this at all. I am not familiar with this. What is a marauder? Mexican carry. What is it? What's it called? What's a Mexican carry? What does that mean? Mixed, it can be unmixed. If there's enough, it certainly can, but it has to be enough of the second person's. Marauder, M-A-R-A-U-D-E-R. R-A-U-D-E-R. Meaning. A band of English marauders were surprised and overcome. A marauder is someone who roams around looking for things to steal. You might hear news reports about a marauder breaking into cars in the neighborhood. I've never heard that term before. It's a look, the way they carry. It's more of like a slang. Mexican carry is a practice of carrying a hand inside the wristband, typically appendix position without a holster, relying on a belt or clothing for retention. Thank you. It's old people words, Justin. It's not old people words. This is interesting. I've not heard
folks
this.
who think that, oh, that guy's just an amateur. Folks, I will tell you, you talk to Dave Smith down there, you talk to Betsy, there are police officers who've been killed by gang members who carried their gun exactly like that. Why? Because
someone just emailed me that today. They said, look, it's called a Mexican, what did you call it?
A Mexican carry.
Someone just emailed me that today. Yeah. So what does that mean?
It just means that, look, when you've got all those clothing on, so it's like there are several ways you can carry a weapon. You can carry it in a holster, forward canted, but you have to reach back like this. There's things they call appendix carries. So you can carry it under your clothing like this, but it's right here at your appendix. So it's very easy to draw and pull out. But that's difficult to do when you're dressed.
And I think this is a very important point because we generally carry something that is going to be more appealing to the person, right? Like you see the sheriffs, like how they put it on the side, the police do that, but some people will put it, like you said, where the appendix is. but he has it right between his legs. And so this is called a Mexican carry.
It's like this person was, like you say, when I was down there, Brian, the thing that I think a lot of people don't realize is Tucson's, it gets hot during the summer, but during that time we were down there, it was cold at night. We had that rain that came in. It is cold. So this person is dressed up not only for disguise, but because it's cold. So it means if you're going to access a weapon with gloves and everything else on, you're.
So it's, okay, Mexican carry is for show, part of costume to divert to Mexicans. So, I mean, to me, the reason I always pictured the way he had it between his legs right there, obviously is so you can intimidate, right? You want them to know, hey, I've got this GUN right here. Don't do anything.
We're going to carry it on the outside. And that's the other big misnomer people made. They looked at that. They said, oh, we're looking for a white holster. They failed to understand how infrared works, passive infrared. Passive infrared doesn't reflect color because it doesn't reflect, colors, lights in wavelengths. So that holster was not white. That holster was actually dark colored. And but those are the things you look at. And plus, the mismatch of it too, Brian, people say, well, he was carrying a semi-automatic and a revolver holster. So, I mean, that the only thing that proves is,
oh, I was muted. I'm sorry.
That he had a mismatched holster. It doesn't prove capability, doesn't prove intent, doesn't prove that wasn't intentional, that he didn't carry it that way. He may also have a revolver, and that's the one holster they have. So, I mean, and actually a friend of mine is the senior director for Walmart for corporate security. I actually called and talked about the holster and the backpack and everything else. And it's like, well, Brian, and one other quick thing too, that backpack, a lot of people worried about buying it in Tucson, but Walmart is a global corporation. There are a lot of places right across the border called Walmart where you can buy similar stuff at. So that was kind of hard to source. But when you bring it all together, I think that person is local. They've got local knowledge. And if they don't live there, they're from there and they know the area. When you have gangs, like when you have.
This person lives very close. This person, in my opinion, lives within the neighborhood or within a few miles.
The gangs that would invade and use, we'll talk about Wi-Fi jammers, but you'd have these South American gangs.
He's, in my opinion, certainly has had to be at this house before.
Gangs come in. They're a gang. They're great. You see 3 or 4 people operating. We only see one person for sure in this, but I think there has to be 2 because of the blood coming out to the curb and the vehicle leaving. But this person is comfortable.
Well, we're going to talk about this electrician here in just a little bit. I've got some photos I'm going to show you, and to me, it's very interesting. I've never given up on this electrician. I'm just as confused as everyone else because I say this is kind of like an octopus. It goes in so many different directions. They've done search warrants on, I'm sure a lot, but 2 different homes that we know of. It's very weird about Tomaso's and there's vehicle and how they searched their home with forensics over and over again, and the neighbors with the cameras, the 3 guys. So it points in a lot of different directions, and there was electricians and all kinds of things there, but the electrician, he does, in my opinion, stand out. Not blaming him, and because I have no idea. I'm just as confused as everyone else.
They're familiar. They were in no hurry because I think they weren't concerned about being caught.
Interesting.
Told you that this person was not concerned about being caught. He was confident. This guy was confident when he was walking up there. He was not in any hurry. And it's not only that. Look at the time. How long he or they were there. Very confident.
When you think about technology, Like right when this happened, I mean, when I just assumed it was going to get solved in a week, especially when President Trump started talking about it and Kash Patel. And I just thought,
yeah, when Trump started talking about it, he's like, we got a good lead on it. I think we're going to have it done soon. I thought, okay, we're somewhere.
Once you have the resources of the FBI and that kind of pressure, and I guess I just always had this, maybe it's not true, but this thought that like, you know, that the FBI could kind of see anything if they really wanted to when it comes to geofencing and satellites. And I just thought there's no way they're not going to be able to figure out who this is, you know, and then they got the pictures right away off of the Google Nest Cam, which the sheriff had said would be impossible. So do you think they've tapped into all that technology at this point and this person just got really lucky?
So that's an interesting question. So there's a couple things there to dive into. One is behavior. How does a person behave? How do they act?
I agree, Mary.
If this is somebody who has done this before, in other words, if I wanted to ensure that I had the lowest possible digital profile, I would take nothing digital with me. I mean, I've got an Apple Watch here. I've got an Apple phone.
Thank you, Miss Wendy, for your support, my dear Justin. You're beautiful. Oh, thank you so much, my love. Really do appreciate that support. Thank you so much. That is very kind. I appreciate that. Thank you for those kind words, my love. Thank you. As I said, I'm from Mexico. My father was Mexican, my mother British. I can assume it has nothing to do with cartel. My father was kidnapped by my stepmother. To me, it's family because, Raquel, love your name, by the way. I think one of the most beautiful women in the world was Raquel Welch. Especially as she got older. She was prettier as she got older. Love the name Raquel. Anyway, tangent. I do not think for a second, not a second, that this is cartel related at all. I agree. Totally agree. Thank you again, Wendy. Appreciate you, baby.
In fact, when you go into what they call SCIFs, secure compartmented information facilities, these things have to come off. Your phone has to stay there. They're all capable of being tracked. They're all capable of transmitting.
It's about this.
And so when I look at that, I go, if this person had done this before, or this was their intent, and they had at least some element of tradecraft, there's a chance that they would have minimized and mitigated their digital risk by leaving anything digital. And then the second thing is then how do you do communications? Folks, you can go down to, well, it used to be called Radio Shack, but you can go down to Walmart. You can buy little handheld walkie-talkies, short range, get you enough distance. You know, that's not going to show up on anything. So then there's two things you can do with the phone. There's cell site location information, but that's carrier dependent. So if you got a Verizon phone, I'm not going to get anything from AT&T or T-Mobile. If you got AT&T, vice versa. However, there's a second thing, and this is one of the other technologies I work with. It's called ad tech. I work with folks called Fog Data and Fog Data Science, and we actually work with state and local law enforcement, the federal government, but it's called ad tech. And so on this same phone, while this is like an AT&T phone, but if you run an app on your phone, like I run News Nation app, or if I run Waze, or if I run, anything else, that ad data, when you download that phone, you agree, that end user license agreement, you agree that, hey, I'm going to allow you to collect certain pieces of data. And with Google.
Yeah, he's absolutely right. The agreements that we all check, don't read, we just check. You are giving them a lot of your information that tells who, what, where, how you are. Not only that, with your vehicle, with the newer vehicle, look at, so like I have a Denali, which is in the shop, but I have, and the agreements, I looked in it one day because I was looking at another case, and everything that they collect on you, it is wild. It's fucking wild.
Google. It's everything. It's location. Apple's more concerned about privacy. They don't resell your data, but Google resells a lot of this. But all of these apps on here, they're collecting information. They're collecting location information. They're collecting usage information, the type of phone you're on. And this stuff gets sold then to data aggregators, and that data aggregators, they sell this information to folks like
yes, data brokers. Just like you know, the when you go to a website, when it wants to collect cookies or something, hit reject, because they are selling information nowadays. Is these data brokers, they collect your information and they sell our private information, and they sell it to all of these companies, and it's wild. You can't get away from it, but you can help limit some of it as well.
log data or Ventel. And it's called ad tech. So it doesn't matter now. It's irrelevant of the platform. It's about the app. And that app will show signals, places where they connect. So when I took a look at that, I actually have I drew a map around that. I drew a radius around that. That is a very dark spot in terms of radio transmission, radio signals. I got little to nothing from a ad tech standpoint. And I tried to look on these egress routes. Okay, look, where would it be?
So what do you mean? Sorry, explain that a little more. When you said you drew a map and you got little to nothing, what do you mean?
So I put a pin in the house, put a pin on the map where Nancy's house is, and then I drew a 1 mile radius around that. Look,
John, you can text me or you can email me. Mods can drop that.
For any signals during that time, and I was generous. I went from
Thank you, Mods.
9 o'clock at night till 3 o'clock in the morning.
Signals from phones?
Yep.
Okay.
From this ad tech, from any.
Hold on. Okay, sorry. What did he say?
Nancy's house is, and then I drew a 1 mile radius around that, looking for any signals during that time. And I was generous. I went from 9 o'clock at night till 3 o'clock in the morning.
Signals from phones?
Yep.
Okay.
From this ad tech, from your mobile apps.
Okay.
So, and because you don't need a warrant for this, you don't need a subpoena for this. You get this because you buy it, because when you download the app and put it on your phone, you agree to share that information with the app provider.
Yes. So, anytime you download an app, right, you essentially agree that you will share this information. Whatever you're doing on your app, you are sharing it with your phone company, and they know all about it. You can the permissions that you allow, it's limited, but you can, if sometimes you hit all permissions, and that can give your location, even your microphone, your camera roll, your camera, all of that. That's very,
So
it's very knowledgeable.
I was moderating a panel one time for MIT, and we were talking about data and intelligence and collection stuff. And I had a panel. I had NSA lawyers on their former stuff, but I simply asked the audience. I said, "Who do you fear more, the NSA, the CIA, and the FBI, or Facebook, Google, and Amazon?" And without a doubt, it was Facebook, Google, and Amazon. Our intelligence community, FBI, would salivates at the amount of information these folks collect that they can't legally collect. So it goes back to your point. Can the FBI do a lot of stuff? They can, but they're also constrained by law. They're constrained by subpoenas. This is obviously not a FISA type.
Right. There was a whole thing during the Bush administration with the government allegedly spying on its citizens, and private companies have a lot more, but I'm still not convinced that the government doesn't have more. I'm still not convinced.
Type of case, Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, so they can't use the section of 702 that they can with other stuff to get national security letters. And so I think that's why you're seeing them going out and asking for additional stuff. When I say it's a dark area, very little signals. I mean, I got 3 or 4 signals and none from Nancy's house, which is unusual. I had people double check me and triple check me. We had no signals coming out of Nancy's house during that time, even a 24-hour period. So if it's not...
I think they're... Caesarina says this guy is top silver fox. I think we have 2 top silver foxes here.
There from an ad tech standpoint, I will tell you from a cellular standpoint, it's going to be
It's
kind of
happening
just as
Eastern time.
difficult because that's kind of a weird area. There's just not great signal in some of those places. So we want to think that these folks know, but we used to have a joke when I was doing work at Justice and some intel stuff. It's like if the public only knew, Brian, they think they got all the stuff. Well, if the public only knew, it's not as the stuff that they got from the Nest camera. That's black magic. I think. I mean, for them to recover that in zettabytes worth of information, that's black magic. And
but again, I think it was from the camera how they got that. I think it was private. Google helped, but that's still considered private, right? That's not government. Google is not government. It is a private, right?
That's to kudos to the FBI for doing that. But everything else, Brian, so I bring it back to this, the fact that we have so little information to go on tells me that whoever did this mitigated their risk digitally and electronically to the standpoint of where there's very little to go on at this point. And that indicates planning, preparation, and experience.
And they may know a lot more behind the scenes, especially like you said, they definitely know what the inside of the house looked like. Things.
And again, I don't think this, and I would bet and mark my timestamp at March 19, 2026 at 9:27 p.m. This is not a Wi-Fi jammer. How this person or persons did these cameras on the neighbor's home, 2 cameras, the only 2 pointing on their house toward Nancy's, that was not recording at this time. It is very shocking to me. Very shocking to me. So I don't know. I don't know. I mean, definitely some preparation. It's not as simple as saying a Wi-Fi jammer at all. A Wi-Fi jammer is not going to work with a corded camera. It's not. And Wi-Fi jammers, but this is the other confusing thing. This doofus right here, he doesn't look, like he's a Mensa a card carrier either, right? So to me, that makes me feel like even more that this person is hired and the person who wanted this done helped take care of maybe these cameras or whatever.
We don't know that whether things were disturbed, but my sense is that they don't know a ton more than we know. You know what I mean? Like I don't think that, like with Koberger, we later found out they knew a ton and they were really tracing him and they were doing genetic genealogy and there was a whole thing that was going on that no one knew about. I just don't get that feeling in this case, especially with them revisiting the same houses again and again now, asking the same question.
And again, I'm sure Brian knows stuff that he's not publicly stated, right? I'm sure he probably knows a lot more than he's publicly stated. But if you go to the sheriff, he says, we kind of knew why this person did this from the beginning. But if they know like the why she was targeted, that should point them in a direction. I mean, she's 84 years old. There's not a lot of whys why you abduct an 84-year-old woman or unalive her. There's not a lot of reasons. My phone or YouTube is going crazy. It's YouTube. He won astrology. So that's why this is one of the most, probably certainly one of the most confusing cases I've ever seen. It gives you that Jean-Benet Ramsey feeling of, oh, it could be this, but then look at this. It could be this. It's not giving there's no fine tip on this where it's leading to someone. You know what I mean?
Questions and some new questions, but I interviewed Steve Moore yesterday, who's a retired FBI agent. He made a really good analogy because I was like, why do they keep going back to the same houses and asking varied questions? He's like, well, it's like if you lose your keys at your house, you can't find your car keys.
Simply Real, I agree. And I've said this 1,000 times too. Simply Real says, why is it that people tend to go missing after a special day or family gathering? Well, at least it appears that way in true crime. That is absolutely true. And again, I think it's very interesting how Nancy spent the evening with her family, and then she's dropped off by one family member. He's suddenly allegedly doesn't go in the house, and just leaves. And then a couple hours later, she's taken out of the house. I think that's weird. But again, sheriff saying they're clear, even though he said they weren't clear prior to that. I don't know. But I agree. Mods, how many thumbs ups do we got? Please hit that thumbs up, y'all. We really appreciate you guys being here and putting your input in this very, very confusing case. Consider becoming a member of the Pearl family. We'd always love to have you. Maybe it was planned that way. Well, I mean, they've certainly done a good job.
Your house. First, you look in all the places that you normally leave them. Like you look on your desk, you look on your bedside. If they're not there, you go to the next level. If they're not there, then you're suddenly digging through your comforter. You know what I mean? So it was his feeling that, they may not know a ton. And that's why we're seeing some of this. I mean, what do you think?
Night Pug.
I think back some of the cases we worked on, sometimes when you had to go back with the second search warrant, because as you did interviews or as you got additional evidence, it indicated stuff. The other thing too is in that.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. You're right in Cold Mood. How to make sense of a deranged perp's nonsense. Sometimes you simply cannot make sense of irrational motives. Yes, but you're right. But there is a motive here, right? People don't do things without a reason. Now, we don't know why this person or persons did this, but they clearly did it for their own reasoning. It's always a selfish reasoning. Whatever that, it's always irrational to unalive someone, especially an 84-year-old woman.
House, they probably had consent to search. You'd have to verify that. And maybe you can get a search warrant, but you can also get consent to search. With the consent to search, that allows you into everything. I mean, you're not restricted. When you serve a search warrant, you're restricted by the scope of the search warrant. In other words, if I'm looking for a stolen automobile, I can't be looking in your dresser drawers.
Yes. And like the FBI went back to Tommaso and Annie's house that one day, and they were at the neighbor's house. The neighbors gave them consent to search. They could have searched whatever the hell they wanted. But he's right. If you are doing a warranted search, you have to have probable cause, and you can only search what's going to make the probable cause. So it's much more limited.
However, if I say I'm looking for stolen automobile parts, that greatly expands the scope of my search warrant. So they may be finding things that redirect redirect their interest. And here's the other reason why too. Look, folks, people, time, money, they're all finite. You can only put so many people on a case. There's only so much time a day to work a case. There's only so many leads you can follow. And what happens is, as you do this stuff, as you develop information, it may be that so-and-so kind of is on the periphery of our radar, but they don't really mean much. But then we get another piece of information, or I get some digital evidence that says, hey, they were in the area. Now I have a reason to go back and revisit that person or revisit that location. So they could be finding things that says maybe they've, Brian, like you say, we don't know everything, but maybe they're tracking a car. And one of the things they're tracking on the cars, they have some information based on maybe digital cell site stuff that they were in a certain road or in a certain area at a certain time. That's why they're going back to look for that to say, do you see anything? It's entirely consistent that some people who commit these types of crimes do prior reconnaissance. As I said, the terrorists did it, terrorist planning cycle. The people who did 9/11, the people who did Mumbai, Lashkar-e-Taiba, the people who did you name your terrorists, the London train bombings. People are creatures of habit. It's like broad target selection, initial reconnaissance, final target selection, final reconnaissance, rehearsals, actions on the objective, escape and evasion. It's entirely consistent that somebody doing this would have been out there beforehand. You know why? Because that house is not going to move. It's not going to change locations. It's always going to be there. The brush is going to be the same, the scrub brush, the sage brush. Are there any street lights, anything like that? There's so much hardscape out there that is not going to change. You could do reconnaissance 6 months in advance and not have anything fundamentally change. So they may have something.
No, that's the problem. Tessa, maybe she was targeted because she's 84. She can't fight back. She can't defend herself. Take advantage of Nancy, an 84-year-old disabled person attacking a vulnerable adult, was their desire. If it's just attacking an 84-year-old vulnerable adult, you don't usually plan that weeks in advance. And statistically, unless you are just like a serial unaliver, you don't just go hurt someone. Most people just don't go hurt someone for just no reason. There has to be motive, right? Unless you're like a serial unaliver, people just like to see people in dead or in pain or fear in their eyes or whatever, which is a very, 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 very low probability. So this person had to have motive to do this to an 84-year-old, in my opinion.
But the other thing too, it's just due diligence, right? When you run out of something, you say, okay, I think back to the Boston Marathon bombers. They had an initial perimeter set up. They thought they were contained inside there. They weren't.
Oh, with that, I agree.
They got the homeowner that came out, and what did they do? They had to expand their containment, their perimeter, and then they converged on that boat. Their initial perimeter was wrong. They thought they were inside the perimeter. So you deal with that all the time. So I don't know that I read too much into it, but I do agree with you, though. At some point, you can tell where they're doing things to check the box just to say we did those, as opposed to we have a hot lead. We've got something, we're tasking people. A lot of the stuff you can also tell, I can tell too. It's like watching cop shows. I can tell when somebody's been, when a real cop has told them how to wear their weapons and wear their uniform versus some Hollywood guy. You can tell by this sense of urgency when you see them out there, if they've just got clipboards and they're getting out of the car and they're going up and knocking on doors. That's follow-up. There's not an urgent sense of urgency behind that. I mean, it's something they need to get done, but it's not like, man, we're going to bring 14.
So you remember, like I said, the day that they were over at Nancy's, and then all of a sudden they went over to Tommaso's and Annie's house. They went over there quickly. They started knocking on doors. They started looking in yards, backyards, and campers and all of that. That was urgency. That was urgency. If you've seen the FBI agents out there, just like you said, with the clipboards looking, speaking to neighbors, that they're following up, they're trying to get information. He is right. There's a big difference. And again, I still don't know why they went over there like that. It's
teams of detectives out and start knocking on doors all at once because we have a hot lead. So you look at their actions, and if they're not excited, I don't usually get excited.
And you don't feel, yeah. Just lastly, Morgan, and I'm kind of asking you to look into a crystal ball here. We obviously don't know, but I believe this will be solved. I mean, I don't get the sense it's going to be tomorrow, but like you said, I mean, these things don't typically go unsolved. But is there something you think that's going to solve it? Do you think it's going to be DNA in the end? Do you think it's going to be someone wanting the reward? If you had to guess, what?
I think at the very minimum, genealogy will solve this.
Your hypothesis, what brings this all together in the end?
What's that reward up to now? It's over $1 million? Over
$1 million, yeah. Savannah Guthrie put up $1 million, and then I think the FBI put 100,000, and then there's another 100,000 from someplace else, something like that.
So, Brian, if 1.2 million doesn't move the needle, I don't think money's going to solve it at this point.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody knows now, or they've known, and the 1.2 million doesn't move the needle, I don't know that money will solve it. Will it be a lucky break? It could be a lucky break. It could be a traffic stop where something's developed and it leads to that. I would lead you back to the case of Polly Kloss when she was kidnapped by Richard Allen Davis. I think it was 96, 97. It took 72 days to find Polly Kloss, and it took them going through all of these things only to find that Richard Allen Davis had been stopped, or he was on the side of the road stuck. He was contacted by 2 sheriff's deputies. At that time, though, unfortunately, Polly was already dead. She was in the woods, already dead. But it took them 72 days to get back to that location. And it was just through hard work, grinding through it. Son of Sam, actually a friend of mine, Chuck Dowd, NYPD, his dad was one of the detectives that found the parking ticket that led to Sam Berkowitz, the son of Sam killings, or David Berkowitz, the son of Sam killing. A parking ticket on a taxi led them to this. Sometimes it's little stuff like that. Will it be forensic evidence? It could be. It all depends upon the danger, though, is when people say we think we have the suspect's DNA, then pretty soon that becomes an assumption, becomes hardened, it becomes this is our theory, and everybody starts repeating the narrative. It's like the white panel van with the DC sniper when it was a blue Chevy Caprice. So I don't know what it will be. Like you say, with Kohlberger, they had investigative genetic genealogy, familial DNA. One of the cases, a young girl named April Tinsley was kidnapped, killed back in 1988. Her murder went unsolved for a long time until part of the evidence they had, the technology was there where they could get the DNA. In that case, when they did the investigative genetic genealogy, they were one step away.
Or someone could be out in the desert and find something, or wherever Nancy is. It could be.
They had his brother's DNA, which led them directly to the suspect out there in Indiana. So sometimes it's a lucky break. There's an old saying, I'd rather be lucky than good. We're at the point now to where they need a lucky break to go their way. They're still going to do the hard work. They need to be prepared for the luck when it shows up. But
me too, Cozy.
I can't tell you what's going to solve it, but I can tell you that when that one break comes in, then all the other pieces we will start figuring out why this doesn't make uncertainty is okay, but it does not make sense right now. Why doesn't it make sense? It's like Jurassic Park. The way they got it to work is they had that missing DNA. So they fixed the missing DNA, right? And it made everything work. The problem was that missing DNA had unintended consequences. And that's what I'm careful about here. I don't want to insert something into there that has unintended consequences, but just to finalize the point, it's either going to be, it's going to be it's going to be information, either information they find or information from a person, a tip. It's going to be forensic, or it's going to be something probably electronic, like they are able to work the cell site location information, be able to, you think about Rex Sherman, the Long Island serial killer, Gilgo Beach. It took them a long time. He was using burner phones and they still found him, but they found him because they went back and they looked at the information they had and they took a look at it with fresh eyes and they found something they should have followed up on.
Sheriff Nanos, fresh eyes.
That they hadn't really truly followed up on. That led to the break, that led to tracking him, and that's how they caught Rex Sherman.
Yeah. Well, hopefully it'll be soon. Morgan, I really appreciate you taking the time to talk with me. I really appreciate Morgan Wright for taking the time to talk with me. It's also, again, I said it when I was talking to him.
Y'all, that was so interesting. That guy is one of the best I've ever listened to, I think. I love the way he puts his points on that very good interview Brian, thank you so very, very much. Really do appreciate that. I did cover Rex a little bit. I kept up with it, but I didn't cover it a lot, but I did keep up with it. Yeah. Very interesting. Now, again, like if you go back to like Ashley Banfield, her sources, and she's, they were allegedly looking at Tommaso. Sheriff says now that no bueno. Nothing on that. All right, guys. So now we're going to get to this electrician. I'm going to show you guys a photo here in just a moment. And I want to hear what you guys have to say on this, not blaming anybody by any stretch of the imagination, because none of us know what happened here at all. But I do want to hear y'all's opinion on this in just a second. Let me pull something up here. And we're going to get to this. Sheriff Doofy. Oh, let me show you this real quick before. Look at this. This is Nancy and her mom. Not sure what her name was, but it was taken, would have been 1945 or so. That's Nancy and her mom. Tell me Savannah doesn't look like, especially in the mouth and through here, Savannah looks like her grandmother. Doesn't she? Oh, sassy baby, honey, you need to take some ibuprofen or something. I was like, oh my God, Savannah looks exactly like her grandmother. And we're going to get to this, the gentleman we just listened to. What's his name? Morgan Wright. He wrote a very interesting piece that Brian was talking about, the egress analysis on this case. We're going to get to that in just a second. However, I'm going to play this real quick because I need to go tinkle. And I will be right back, and we're going to get to all of that stuff. Guys, please hit that thumbs up button. Thank you all for being here. Credit's going to go to our friends at News Nation. Here we go. Maybe. Here we go.
There is a stunning claim that could change everything in the Nancy Guthrie case. A former SWAT team leader now says, despite months of investigation, that the FBI and the Pima County Sheriff's Office have no suspects. Chad Ayers says this is from a source who is, quote, boots on the ground in Arizona. Ayers made this claim during an appearance on the Megyn Kelly podcast, the show. And we want to be clear, News Nation hasn't independently verified that information. But here's why it's so significant. Just last night, Brian Enton reported the FBI was back in Nancy's Tucson neighborhood, knocking on doors, asking neighbors who moved out, zeroing in on a home under construction a street over, tracking down every crew that had worked there. They appeared to be tightening the timeline, running down leads. It looked like progress, right? But if this new claim is true, where does that leave the investigation right now? Will Nancy Guthrie's case ever be solved? I want to go to the man behind that claim, my friend Chad Ayers, former SWAT team member and sheriff's deputy who's worked undercover in federal and state investigations. Chad, always good to see you. Just real quick, you feel confident in your source? And can you give any indication about how this person would know this?
Yeah, Jesse, I do want to maintain the integrity of the source and the investigation. I will tell you that this person is... I would just be broad, says they are in that area and are affiliated with the investigation.
If that is true, okay, no suspects. Are investigators starting from scratch? How do you square that away versus all the information I talked about happening last night?
No, I mean, that's a great question, Jesse. I think what's important is just because there is no...
Teresa, I don't think this is a weird fan or anything, because I don't think weird fans act alone generally. You know what I mean? It's something that they don't really have help on, and hey, I see you. Good to see you, honey. So this is more
suspects. And I mentioned this before, it doesn't mean there's no leads. Obviously, the Pima County Sheriff's Office, the FBI tip line has received thousands and thousands of tips that they are still working through. And this takes time. And in a day and age where we are so used to getting information immediately, this can be frustrating, especially to viewers and the American people that want answers immediately. But that's just unfortunately not how these investigations play out. They take time. And I get it. This is a high profile case and we're going on a month and a half of Nancy being missing. But just because there's no suspect, the FBI is just going to continue to go off the leads that they receive. And keep in mind too, Jesse, it's important that a lot of this, data and, technology that they are using and some of the doorbells and footages is still being processed and coming in from Google. So it takes some time.
And the genetic genealogy, right? The family tree, find potential suspects on the forensic material found in the house. That takes time. So in other words, it's
Savannah
not abnormal,
is 5'10".
but there might not
I
be
just checked.
suspects. You also reported on Megyn Kelly's show
Maurice,
that the family members all passed polygraphs with flying colors. I'm going to ask you.
With flying colors. Maurice, how are you doing? Hello, my beautiful Justin and Clifton Bros. I'm very late. Just got home. Not been so well. I messaged you the other day, darling. Hope you're okay.
Something, because I know people online and people who've been following this case will say it immediately after I said that. Is it possible for people to beat a polygraph, or can we say we rule the family out and we take the sheriff's word and Pima County Sheriff's Office for their word that there's nothing else here with the polygraph?
Well, let me start by saying again that my source was very adamant that the family is not involved. Now, back to the polygraph. Can polygraphs be beat? Yeah.
Yes. They're about 65 to 70.
Polygraphs can be beat. A lot goes down, and I think there's some misconceptions.
You see, this is the thing about this guy versus others. See, this guy, and again, Sheriff Nanos says that family cleared. Banfield was pointing the other direction. So you just don't know where to go.
Of what a polygraph is, they're often referred to as like a lie detector. That's not really the case. What
I agree. How are you going to clear anyone if you supposedly don't know shit?
What a polygraph does for the viewers is it's really analyzing physiological responses to the question. So the actual exam, Jesse, doesn't mean a lot. It's really the beforehand and how they answer, and then looking at those physiological responses. So when you go in to take a polygraph, you or I sit down. I've taken numerous polygraphs, in my career for hiring and other high profile cases that I was, being read into. And, you're sitting on a sensor. You've got a blood pressure cuff attached to you. You've got sensors on your finger.
I've been sitting on a sensor since 1976. Okay. So I'm over this guy. All right. Moving on, guys, I want to now show you something. Again, before I say this, I am in no way saying that this person is involved of anything in any way, in any shape, in any form of anything. This is just a public photo that I have, and we will discuss it. Okay. Right here. Right here. And ooh, what happened? Wait a second, guys. Give me a second. Can y'all see me? Okay, yeah, again, okay. This is... I failed a poly for a job once because when they asked me if I'd stolen anything, I couldn't get the handful of mustard packet out of my head. You mustard stay alert, mountain cat. Why is eyes closed? I don't know. This is... I'll show you some more pictures. See, the goatee looks darker there, though. Yeah. You see this? 5'11", brown eye collar, Mexican America. Bottom lip looks very interesting to me. I wish eyes were open there. In that pic, he has his chin up like he thinks he's a little short. I'll have to do a members only live on this. I can't really say much. Eyebrows are blonde though and not shaped. His eyebrows are blonde. Yes, that is true. But if you go to this, it's much darker here, and it almost looks like he shaved his eyebrows. Astrology. I've heard mastering polygraphs and doing Kegels is a thing. Julia, that's so funny. I don't know if he has tattoos. That's a good question. Let me see. This is electrician. That's what I was looking at. I don't see thing on his lip. His bottom lip looks very interesting, but look at his eye here. You see that right there? You see that? And again, people look different in different pictures, a lot different based on the time of year, the time it was taken, their current look as well. I don't know. Oh, I'm sorry. You're having a time tonight, it's giving you. The thing about this guy, White, I have another picture of him, and he looks a lot different. Let me hold on one second. Let me see if I can find it. Look at this. I don't know. I'm not blaming anybody, but yes, Yvette. Mm-hmm. He has pretty eyes, yeah. But you see, like, look at his this guy's eye here. He doesn't have really that eye thing that we saw in the other one. See how people change their looks and stuff? But this person here has that eye thing. Okay. I'll talk more in it later. I can't say anything here because it's not a members, but you see, like here, he's very dark around the eye, and this is generally genetic. When you have like these, but he looks very different in all of these. Does have I'll just say a track record as well. The one in the vid has more hooded eyes than the guy you're showing now. Hedgie, this is electrical. I don't know. I mean, I am in this one. I am just as confused as everybody else. Don't know if he has tattoos. Doesn't say at all. That's why it's so interesting. Right, Tony. Right. Buddy said only electricians use mouth flashlights. That's crazy. He's an electrician because, I mean, no, I mean, there's a lot of different people that use mouth flashlights, but I will say that um, the mouth flashlight suggests, in my opinion, they use it for. They had it for,
now then what the family said is $1 million for the return of her body. We're not talking prosecution now. We're talking $1 million for the return of their mother, which is basically, they tell us where the body is.
That was the guy.
Now
we were just listening to a second ago. Again, I'm going to show you a public photo of Mr. Daly, who, not saying he is involved in any way, shape, or form. A lot of people has pointed out, they say, like, is this something on his hands? He's got kind of thick hands, but to me, Mr. Daly, there are interesting things in my opinion, but he looks more weighted here. In my opinion, he looks more heavier here. But again, I would find it shocking if FBI went there and wouldn't be back. How did they get that warrant? I don't know. That's unusual. They usually don't just say to get remains in those offers. Yeah. My dad worked with the son of Sam. Really? Interesting. He could have on layers. Yeah, the Lexi, the guy I was showing before. allegedly is. Yeah, I can zoom in. Let me see if I can actually do it like this. 1 second. So we can zoom better. I don't know. His hand looks almost swollen to me. You know, like when you, like someone like hits a wall or something and they bruise it or they spring it or something. Yeah, it looks swollen. It does. Almost looks like scratches or a scar right there. Here, well, you can't see his pinky ring in this one. Let's see here. What's his name? Let me see. Give me a second, guys. Okay. Here we go. I'll let you see this. Bear with me. I got some photos here. Just got to pull them up. He was very, very nervous in the interview, but that doesn't mean anything whatsoever. Okay, here we go. Give me a second. Uno, dos, tres, cuatro. There we go. Okay. Check this out. Here's another hand photo. Something there, but over here, there's a tattoo. It looks like there's a tattoo here. It could be a bruise or a shadow, but then there is a ring as well. Ring tattoos. But we would need to see the other one. Again, one thing that I found weird was him dressing like this. I mean, I knew he was in a suit and all that, which is fine. What is that on his mom's wrist? Oh, it's a watch or jewelry. His mom's a nice lady. His pants are ragged. Yeah, these are what I call buckle jeans. Who is then next to him with the tattoo on wrist? Well, he has a tattoo on his wrist. Okay, I got more I want to show you as well. And then here's this. His hands look swollen, don't they? Look how puffy they look. Don't you think they look puffy? They do look swelled up. Yes, this is the gentleman that he said he didn't really know nothing about Nancy. However, they what's the word he used? His mom kind of told him about it, but after he was pulled over and put in the back, he's like, "Oh, this must be about the Guthrie case." I was wondering. I was going to say that, Jab. uh, I think there is some alleged rug use in the past, and it makes me wonder if he's could be hiding his arms for that. You know what I mean? And that's a good point. He was in a car accident recently, allegedly. It could be from that as well. That's a good point. Very good point. That's very fair. Mm-hmm. Yep. Wait a second. Okay.
A lot of people who watched my sit down interview with Luke Daly yesterday were asking questions about what he was wearing, what he looked like, the way he walked in, kind of like his overall demeanor. And with the clips we posted yesterday, the full interview, you could only see about right here, right? Because that's where the camera was framed on both of us. But we did shoot behind the scenes clips of when Luke came into the interview room with his attorney. We were getting him mic'd up with the microphone, and there was a little bit of interaction there. You can see more of him as he walks in, what he's wearing, and that interaction as he sat down. So I want to play that for you. Again, I want to preface this with Luke Daly was detained and released. He is not facing any charges in the Nancy Guthrie investigation. And he did the interview because he wants to clear his name. But we do have that kind of behind the scenes peel back with some footage. So I want to share that with you. You can kind of watch what happened behind the scenes right before that interview took place. Hey, Luke. How you doing? Thank you so much. I get up, I'm just all mic'd in. So we're going to get you all what happened behind the scenes right before that interview took place.
Oh God, I was muted, guys. I'm sorry. I think it's very interesting. Am I froze? I was sorry. I was muted, guys. I thought I was just gabbing away. It is very complicated, Stormy. I do think it's very interesting how the FBI was there. And I think that something had to lead them there. I don't know what, their probable cause was, but, one thing I would like Luke to talk about, because he said he had no idea why they pulled him over or anything. He says he did not see the warrant. If he's able to say why now, you know what I mean? Did they go to high school together? Not that, no. Big age difference.
Hey, Luke. How you doing? Thank you so much. I get up, I'm just all mic'd in. So we're going to get you all mic'd up right there. Hold on, before you sit down.
Then you want to
wait, make these for you.
we're gonna wait. He wants to be in here, right?
Yeah. Have a pop out your collar for me, man. Okay, you better make it easier for me. The best is ideal for the mic. I'm just gonna clip this on right here.
Now the camera does gain it does add weight to you. It is so true. I promise you, it does add every bit of 10 pounds. He looks straight at the camera.
Makes it easier for me. The best is ideal for the mic. I'm just gonna clip this.
he doesn't have hardly any upper lip whatsoever. He has almost like, he's got, and one of my favorite singers, Reba, he's got like the Reba McEntire upper lip. No lip at all. And that looks like a bite on his hand more than a cut. Very pencil thin, yeah. Almost done. He reminds me of, I think his name's Marv. From like the modern day Marv from Home Alone. Oh, I don't think you, little bro. I'm not so sure about that. He needs lip liner. We can all use a little lip liner. Maybe the elderly lady. I don't know. I'm not gonna say that, but see, it zooms in here. I was looking at this area as well. It could be how it's just shaped. Do I got the photo? See, it looks like he's got, but it could be just that it's pushed down as well. I don't think this is him, but I really don't know. He did shave, yes. He said some things that's weird. He did say some things that's weird. But I will say, I think it is extraordinarily bizarre how the FBI showed up there. They had to get there based on a probable cause, whether, and to me it had to be within a certain amount of time or data or something. Yes, he does have a wrist tattoo. Let me see if I have that. I might have that. Excuse me. But he looks so different in a lot of these pictures. Sometimes, like, he's got, okay. People say this is him as well. I don't know if it's him or his brother, but people say this is him from a while back ago. Right there. He's a bit of a chameleon. And then if you look at these photos, he looks completely different here. 5'8", 160 pounds here. That was in 2020. He does. He does. And then, to me, he looks, now look at this, right? See this? Now look at this. 1, 2, 3. Someone said he had a filter on here or something like that. I don't know. Someone did this picture. I didn't do this picture. That's right, Lexi. Yeah. He just looks so different in all of his, and that's, people just change their looks naturally, and the day and all of that. I don't think it's him. Well, not especially in this, but I don't know. He looks completely different now. Does he have the lip scar? Can you zoom in? You know, I mean, the lip thing is very interesting to me. Like I said, I think this guy looks like he might have had, maybe I call it like a hair lip or like a cleft palate or something. But I'm not going to ride on that, to be honest with you, because the way that the night vision works, it can be very, very deceiving. It can be very, very deceiving, in my opinion. Yes, Lovey's house. Yes, because it can exaggerate things big time. Could be a scar of any kind, yeah. Night vision will screw you up. It really will. Absolutely crazy. You know what I mean? Line up. His eyes look different color, maybe. This is the thing that we really, with this guy's eyes, you know, people said it was green. I don't think that they are. Some pictures look like he has a little bit of Latino. Yeah. He's, to me, he's got like, he might have some Latino in him. He might have some Middle Eastern in him or Italian. I don't know, Bumblebee. Luke and Matthew Daly are adopted. They're not biological brothers. We just have, the only thing that we have him walking is this right here. This is the only thing that I know of him walking. Oops, wrong one. No, that's the right one. No, wrong one.
Interview because he wants to clear his name. But we do have that kind of behind the scenes peel back with some footage. So I want to share that with you. You can kind of watch what happened behind the scenes right before that interview took place.
Hey, what are you doing? Thank you.
Have that kind of behind the scenes peel back with some footage. Right before you took.
Thank you so much. I get up, I'm just all mic'd in. We're gonna get you all mic'd up right there. Hey, what are you doing? Hey, what are you doing? Thank you so much. I get up, I'm just. Hey, what are you doing? Thank you so much. I get up, I'm just all mic'd in. We're gonna get you all mic'd up right there.
Hold on, before you sit down.
He wants.
Before we make these for you.
We're gonna wait. He wants to be in here, right?
Yeah. Pop out your collar for me, man. You better. Make it easier for me.
The best is ideal for the mic.
I'm just gonna clip this on right here for you. Here you go. And you can butt it back up and have a seat.
Chris, sorry, I know it's not ideal in the corner for you, but sorry, I know that we don't have an extra chair.
No.
You are all good.
Oh, they interviewed him. Baby, they know.
See, just a couple. Appreciate it.
And when we do it, you'll just look at me, just you and chat. It's just a second.
For sure.
Everything all buttoned up here.
Exactly, Lori.
Here we go. Just
I'll take your phone. Oh, no, I want your kid. He's just showing me. Like,
And Deb, you're absolutely right.
Sure, yeah.
You're absolutely right. They had probable cause to search that house and his vehicle. And to me, regardless if it's, and again, he claims that he is not this dude, and I really don't think he is. Something led them there. You don't just get it for nothing. You don't just get it for probable cause of warrant. Yeah. You don't just go there for no reason, you know? I think they it would be very surprising if there's not something. And if they fucked up really bad if they fucked up. It does look like he wears a thin, I don't know. What did they take out of his boot trunk? Yvette, they don't know. But he wrecked his vehicle and he got a new vehicle. Allegedly his mom bought it. We'll see. All right, guys. Thank you all so much for joining me. I do appreciate you. We are at 3 hours and 10 minutes. You guys are all amazing rock stars. Thank you, user. Thank you so much. Please come back. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Greatly appreciated. Guys, if you would be so kind after this live, if you would consider sharing this live stream out if you haven't yet already on any of your social media. Also, if you would consider hyping this video, our YouTube algorithm has changed significantly, and any help, really appreciate it. If you will comment down below, if you'll put a smiley face, justice for Nancy after this video is ended. You know, anything really. I greatly appreciate you guys. Do you all know how to hype? I had to Google it. Let me see if I can show you. For instance, will it let me do it here? Okay. So, you got to use it like the mobile app to locate the video. It's got to be within the first 7 days. And you like swipe left where the comments are. Let me see if I can. Oh, my phone was dead as a door now. It was turned off. Where the comments are, and you just swipe left or right, and it'll say hype. And that means so much. It's absolutely free to you. You get 3 a week. And it really makes a difference. So if you would consider just giving me 1 of those, it would mean so much. Love you guys. Only after the stream ends. Yes, Jab. Only after the stream ends. I did 3 for you. You are amazing. Peace. Thank you so much. Thank you, love. That's so kind of you. Thank you, Beverly. Thank you, guys. All right, guys. I love you all. Yes, and if you hype, hit the thumbs up button or share the live out, you get 10 years. 10 years of good luck. What can I say? What can I say? It's after the live, Lexi. After the live. Love you too, darling. Love you too. Love you too, darling. Thank you, loves. Appreciate you. Yes, Ginger says it's true. All right, guys. Much love. Appreciate you. Justice for Nancy. I hope this I really hope like my phone goes off the hook at like 3 a.m. one morning very, very soon. And there's just an arrest and I get to go live at like 3 a.m. with like my eye open like this. That there's an arrest and Nancy is found. I pray. I feel really bad for the family. Bring me 10 years of good luck, Justin. Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, 2 dozen roses. 14 months. You're a rock star. Thank you so much, my friend. Appreciate you very much. Thank you. Justin will be in his robe. You've seen me in my robe before, Sherry. It's not a pretty sight. It's not a pretty sight. Oh, Jab. No, it's not a pretty sight. My Hugh Hefner robe. Yeah. Bitcoin machines. Oops. Are you tomorrow live? I pray I'm alive. And I should be live tomorrow as well. I sure have. Yeah. All right, guys. Y'all are so funny. I love you guys. Appreciate you. Take good care of yourself and the ones you love. You're amazing. Don't take things too seriously. You only get so many trips around the sun. If it doesn't matter 10 years from now, it doesn't matter. Love you guys. Good night.